Good evening. This is Cyber Power of Tigray from the Western U.S. I have a special guest tonight. Mr. Mogas Tesfai is having a little bit connectivity issue, but we are going to do a backup audio. So in case his screen connectivity is an issue, we will go ahead and do an audio. Mogas, Ato Mogas is he was among our hero fighters who sacrificed most of his young life in Ethiopia, fighting for the very people today who are turning their back against their own citizen. So I am going to give him an opportunity to introduce himself. My other guest tonight, as you see on one side of my screen, is Emmanuel I. I am honored to have both guests in the show. He is going to help me on properly saying his name, but he, of course, has been in Cyber of Tigray a number of times. He is a very serious activist. Most important, he is a nationalist, which actually need to have more serious discussions with him because that is my style. So I am going to go ahead and start with you, and then we'll jump into Mogas after you introduce yourself.
Do you want me to go ahead first, or Mogas?
Yeah, I'll let you go first, and then we'll have Mogas. That's fine. Go after you.
Okay. My nickname is not actually my name. My nickname is Nar in Tigray, which means cornerstone. And as you have said, I'm an ardent nationalist, Tigray nationalist. I believe in cause, and that's it. Activist.
Thank you, and welcome to Cyber Power of Tigray. I appreciate you taking out the time to join me tonight. So we'll have a major discussion we'll have about the crisis in Tigray, Ethiopia, and we have some news to update to the audience. I apologize, Mr. Mogas, you're having a connectivity issue, but since we have you by audio, could you please introduce yourself to our audience, and we'll proceed with our discussion?
Yeah, my name is Mogas Tesfai. I'm from Tigray, so yeah, that's shortly as it look like.
Thank you. So we have a lot of topics that I'd like us to discuss today. Ato Mogas, I want to start with you. We're gonna we can switch to Tigrinya, but ideally we're gonna do mostly English.
I think we're gonna say Tigrinya.
But yeah, we could go back and forth, but ideally, yeah. So for the audience, we're capable of speaking both in Tigrinya and in English. So Mr. Mogas, I'm more than happy for you to go ahead and express anything and everything you'd like in Tigrinya, and we'll jump in both in Tigrinya and English, of course. So my question for you is, as a fighter who sacrificed most of your life to bring justice and peace for Ethiopia, a country that went famine back in the 80s, to the liberation fighting that you and many, over 60,000 Tagaru, who have sacrificed their lives to bring the freedom that most Ethiopians enjoyed up until November 4th, 2020. The betrayal of Abi Ahmed, could you please explain to us what goes through your mind with everything that we have seen for the last 75, 76 days?
Well, thank you for having me. it's very hard or very difficult to explain what's going on in Tigray. But you know what? I think it's better to say or to describe what's going on in Tigray. If you allowed me, can I say in Tigrinya?
Absolutely, yes, please.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
That is very ብጣዕሚ ዘጸግም እዩ እቲ ዝኸውን ዘሎ እቲ ዝግበር ዘሎ ኣብ ትግራይ ብልዕሊ ህዝብና ዝወርድ ዘሎ ወረዶታት ዝወርድ ዘሎ ጭቆና ጭፍጨፋ ብጣዕሚ ዝሕዝን እዩ ንክትገልጾ ኣብ ልዕሊኻ ስለቶም ጀጋኑ ወለድና መራሕትና ዝተገብረ ስኢልካ ክትሓስቦ ከለኻ ወይ ክትሰምዖ ከለኻ ንምእማን ዘጸግም ብሓቂ ድዩ ከምኡ ኮይኑ እዞም ሰባት እዚኦም ከምኡ ድዩ ዝግብኦም ነይሩ as they really deserve this ኢልካ ክትሓስቦ ከለኻ ብጣዕሚ ኣብ ዘጸግምና ንክትኣምኖ ዘጸግም ኩነታት እዩ እዞም ሰባት እዚኦም ወይ ደሞ እዞም ጀጋኒ ወለድና ስኢልካ ምልስ ኢልካ ክትሓስቦ ከለኻ መን እዮም ኢልካ ክትሪኦም ከለኻ ብጣዕሚ ዘገርም ሰባት ድዮም ወይስ ነቢያት እትብለሉ ኩነታት ወይ ግዜታት ኣሎ ስኢልካ ተመሊስካ ሓደ ዝገበርዎ ኢንተርቪው ዝገበርዎ ገለጻታት ዝገበርዎ ዝነበሩ ስብሰባታት ተመሊስካ ክትሓስቦ ወይ ክትሪኦ ከለኻ እቲ ዝብልዎ ዝነበሩ ንቅድሚት ን10 ዓመት ንቅድሚት ካብ ላዕሊ ዝኾኑ ዓመታት ንቅድሚት ሓሊፎም ክትንቢብዎ ከለዉ እናቲ ነገራት ተመሊሱ ክኸውን ከሎ እዞም ሰባት እዚኦም ብዕድመ ደኣ ዓበይቲ ይኹኑ እምበር እቲ ሓሳቦም ወይ መስመሮም ወይ ዓላሞም ግን ኩሉ ግዜ ካብ ግዜ ናብ ግዜ እናተሓደሰ ዝኸይድ ህዝባውነቶም ኩሉ ግዜ እናተጸባረቐ ኩሉ ግዜ ደጊምካ ትሪኦ ሰባት ስለዝነበሩ ጀጋኑ ስለዝነበሩ ብኸምዚኦም ዝበሉ ብኣብይ ዘይረብሕ ኣብዚ እቶ ዘይትብሎ ካብ መሪሕነት ናይ ኣመራርሓ ቅጥዒ ዘይብሉ ካብ ምንም እቶ ዘይትብሎ ጥራሕ ንጭፍጨፋ ንጭቆና ንተንኮልን ዝተፈጥረ ምስኮም ዝመሰለ ሰይጣን ጎረቤት ተሓባቢሩ ኣስውን ሰብኡት ክነብሩ ዝግብኦም ከጥፍእ ከለዉ ተቐቲሎም ክበሃል ከሎ ብጣዕሚ ዝሕዝን ንክትዛረቦ ግን እዞም ሰባት እዚኦም ክንደይ ክብርን ሞገስን ዝግብኦም ካብ ዕድመ ቁልዕነቶም ንመሰል ውፅዓት በረኻ ዝወረዱ ጀጋኑ ናይ ኩናት መራሕቲ ጥራሕ ከይኮኑስ ናይ ፖለቲካ ተቃለስቲ መቃለስቲ ቃልሲ ኣብ ውሽጥን ኣብ ደገን ብጽንዓት ንመሪሕ ውድቦምን ህዝቦምን እቲ ዝግባእ ጥራሕ እንተይኮነስ ካብ ዝግብኦም ንላዕሊ ጊዜኦምን ዕድሜኦምን ኩሉ እስካብ መስዋዕቲ ዝሃቡ ጀጋኑ ጀጊኖም ድማ ጀጋኑ ዝፈጠሩ ተዋጊኦም ዘዋግኡ ተቃሊሶም ዘቃለሱ ጸኒዖም ጽንዓት ዘስነቁ ዓላማ መስመር ሒዞም መስመር ዘትሐዙ መትከል ዘለዎም ጀጋኑ ካብ ቀዳሞት ዝተረከቡ ሓደራ እንተይበልዑ ንትውልዲ ኣመሓላሊፎም ሓደረኦም ዝተዋጹ ቆራጻት ሰብ ታሪኽ ደቂ ህዝቢ ታሪኽ ዘለዎም ካብ ትውልዲ ናብ ትውልዲ ዝመሓላለፍ መትከል ጽንዓትን እምነትን ህዝባውነትን ዘመሓላለፉ ጀጋኑ ናይ ክብሪ መስዋዕትነት ንዘለኣለም ናይ ክብሪ መስዋዕትነት እዮም ሓሊፎም ወለዳ ዝሕዝን ይኹን በተተሓላልፎም በቲ ህይወቶም ዘሕለፈ ጨፍጫፊ ሰይጣናዊ ኢሳያስ ተግባርን ኣብይ ተግባርን እንዳይሕዝን ይኹን በርንሶም ንዘለዓለም ከዓ ኣብ ልቢ ትግራዋይ ዝነብሩን ስርሖምን ተጋድሎኦምን ንኩሉ መንእሰይና ቃልሲ ጽንዓት ህዝባውነት ማለት ካብዚኦም ንላዕሊ ዝኸውን መምህር ኣብነት ክረክብ ስለ ዘይንኽእል ሓደሮኦምን ጽንዓቶምን ዝጀመርዎ ዓላማ ኣብቲ ዝድለ ንምብጻሕ ኩሉ ምስ መሪሕነት ውድቡ ብጽንዓት ብምጽንባር ጸገም ሕብረተሰብና ንምሕጻር ዝብለሉ ሰዓት እዩ ክኸውን ዘለዎ ዝብል እዩ ዘለኒ እንተ ንሳቶም ክሳብ መወዳእታ ምስ ህዝብና ብምባል እምበር ኣብዚ ዕድመ እዚ ኣባይ ስዩም ወይስ ኣባይ ነብሶ መሳርያ ኣልዒሎም ዝዋግእሉ ዕድመን ጥዕናን ከም ዘይነበሩ ኩልና ንፈልጥ ኢና እንታይ ደኣስ ኣብ መሬትና ምስ ህዝብና እስካብ ሞት ብዝብል እምበር ከምቶም ጠላማት ዓላማ ዘይብሎም እንተ ዝኾኑ ነይሮም እዞም ጀጋኑና እዚኦም ከምቲ ኩሉ ሰብ ዝገብሮ ይትከይዶ ከም ሰቦም ተቆጢቦም ክሰርሑ ይኽእሉ ዝነበሩ እዮም ካብ ኩሉ ንላዕሊ
So let me, sorry, Mr. Mogas, we have a lot of English audience, so I want to give an opportunity to everybody to jump in, but I'm going to ask you those questions actually in detail. So I apologize to interrupt you, but I want us to make the discussion a little bit a mix of English and Tigrinya. That way the audience understands, because most of the program that I do has been going on in English. So I want to make sure that they're aware what's happening, because you share with us a lot of like helpful and resourceful information. I want to make sure the audience who do not understand English, Tigrinya, also we can jump in and kind of explain to them to understand that I have, you may not see, but I have the screen actually showing what you've been describing to our heroes who sacrificed their lives. Actually, they were not fighters, we know, but let me give an opportunity to Ato Amnaraya. So if you don't mind jumping in, I know that I have the screen that you can see on our screen here, but could you, if you don't mind, could you add to what he was just describing, Mr. Mogas was describing regarding the tragedy that we've seen in Tigray? Those who are not fighting on the battlefield were actually assassinated in their home in Mekelle, and they've been bragging how they rounded up in the mountains of Tigray, which was not true.
To begin with, I would like to say that maybe personally or group of people like me, I never felt proud about being an Ethiopian for a long time, for so many reasons. And now, what have happened to these lifetime fighters, progressive fighters and revolutionaries, is a disgrace for the country. Ethiopia should feel ashamed. We can discuss all what they did for that country, Ethiopia. Siyum, until his death, he was pushing for political dialogue and compromise. He was telling every Tigray nationalist to cool down and solve the problems with the current administration diplomatically and politically. The same is true with Abai. The same is true with Asmala Shabanov. Actually, 3 of them, including others, they were pro-Ethiopia. They were Ethiopians than Tigrayan. Actually, they are for Tigray. They have a concern about Tigray. They fought for Tigray for sure, but still under the umbrella of Ethiopia. But Ethiopia, especially the current government, should feel ashamed of himself to brutally assassinate a blind man, an amputated left hand, Asmala Shaban also. Abai Zahe recently had a heart surgery.
and probably around 70 years old or more. Siyum, he had a very chronic back pain. He couldn't even walk half a mile. So they are telling us they've been trying to fight them back, and then they killed them in the bush of Tigray. This is so ridiculous and pathetic. It's a shame. Totally, Ethiopians, they have to feel ashamed of themselves. On top of that, I can say I know personally who Abai was. Abai, he was my boss when I was working in Tigray on Sustainable Agriculture Environmental Rehabilitation Commission. He was a commissioner. He was one of the politicians who believes on political discussion. He's not an aggressor. Never been. The same is true with His Excellency Ambassador Siyum. I don't know him in person, but most of them, they are people who believe on political dialogue. But the discourse in Ethiopia right now, the political discourse in Ethiopia is they want to hide the truth, and only one group is talking, the other side is not talking. So they want to hide everything, and then they want to be listened by others. So, as to me, Ethiopia never been a pride for me. For my stance, it has added another reason to hate and to exclude Ethiopianism out of my life and out of the people whom I know. I'm going to make them understand what's going on in Ethiopia. Because Ethiopia is not your country at all. Ethiopia is a shame. Ethiopia doesn't belong to you. Ethiopia is a fake name. It has a fake name. It's a rotten country. It had no dignity at all. Inhuman. So I could say a lot of things, but in short, I could say it's a shameful country. So it cannot hold its own treasure. These people, they were a treasure for the nation, but they brutally killed them.
So why do you think Abi Ahmed, the very person who himself was part of the APRDF fighter, he walked the walk, talked the talk within the APRDF leadership, all of a sudden is washing his hands, somehow he's innocent, but the very people actually that were older than him, he's in his 40s. So for the audience, Abi Ahmed is in his 40s. He's about 44, 45 years old. The very people who he massacred, sadly, were between 71 and about 88 to 90 years of age. And you describe them, obviously, the disability. So my question for you, I guess, is why the hate? Why turn on the very people that educated you, that put you through the process and taught you what democracy should look like? And do you see any difference between Abi Ahmed and Hitler?
I don't actually. For your surprise, before he came to power, I can say I was the only person who spotted him. This is the most brutally dictator on the making. This was my word. He was manipulating every situation. Before he came to power, he happened to be in the United States, and I had an information when he was in Las Vegas chewing chat with his friends. I had a lot of information what he was talking about, and when the riots and the instability in Oromia grew up to a certain level, he was exploiting the situation in collaboration with the G7, Gumbas Sabat, Arbanyas, the Patriotic and the G7 who were basing in Eritrea. He was collaborating with the OLF, and he was against TPLF actually. So, and the other truth is, if you remember 7 years back, the American administration, especially Herman Cohen, Ambassador Herman Cohen, he specifically said, let's take Eritrea out of coal. That was his word, Korean code. Let's take Eritrea out of coal. Actually, Eritrea was cornered. The Isaias administration was cornered by APRDF because of his brutal administration. A lot of people were fleeing out from Eritrea, and diplomatically, APRDF was winning against Eritrean government. Now, the so-called Ethiopians in the United States, they were against their own country, and they were telling the Americans, America should take out China from Ethiopia. Okay, they can have that stand, but they were adding a fuel to the worsening situation in Ethiopia. So Abi Ahmed, he was an insider. He was part of the spy, what do you call it, the INSA, intelligence service.
Right.
He was part of it, and he was helped by the opposition groups within and outside, and the American government also helped him. Now they didn't understand about this guy. This person, as described by some psychologists and some people who understand politics for sure, they were talking about him as a psychopath and narcissist. By any means necessary, he craves for power. By any means necessary, he craves for success. So he don't have any remorse. He don't have any empathy and sympathy for his own people. People talk about him. He killed his father. He was ashamed of his mother, and then he couldn't even go to her funeral, and he was excluding everybody. He was hiding himself not to take a picture with his friends. What does it mean? He was ashamed of himself. Therefore, there was a vacuum inside of him. He was trying to fill up that vacuum, and then he wanted to appear as man. Okay? Now, after he came to power, whatever he did was, in every step, he was manipulating the situations, orchestrating, manipulating, creating chaos. He comes like an arbiter, and then he creates another chaos, and then he becomes an arbiter, and then he was killing, lying, killing, and lying. He have done all the criminal acts in that country. We can remember about Engineer Semenyo. Engineer Semenyo, he killed him brutally in Addis Ababa at Mescal Square. All the generals who have been detained, General Saare, who have been killed, the other general in Amhara region and the administration in Amhara, all of them, they have been killed by himself, by his security service. Now, when it comes to the issue of Tigray, the Tigrayans from the beginning, there was a resistance. They were saying, you are destroying the country, you are working against the constitution, and then the fate of the country is going to be bad. From bad was going to the worst. So they were the main resisting party. Of course, they have an experience too. So everybody was listening to TPLF. So the accusation was increasing. Now he made a new story. He tried to send, he claimed that he sent money for the region. At the same time, he sent 1,000 troops, paratroopers to Tigray. Now the war broke out, and then he started like hunting. So all of the veterans of TPLF, actually they sacrificed because they don't want the cities and towns of Tigray to be burned by airspace and by tanks. So they evacuated and they stayed on the bush. So he sent another troops and he assassinated them. So what he was trying to do was simply he is power hungry. Psychology, they call him the psychopath and narcissist. This type of people are all the time, they are criminals. They are criminals, they're high class criminals, and they do everything. You can remember what he did to Lema Magersa. You can explain about what happened to Jawar Mohammed. Everybody who went against him, either will be killed or will be in jail. And the other sad part of that country is there are people who supported this guy, especially the Amhara nationalists or the people from Amhara.
And we're gonna get to that in a sec. So let me. I'm gonna switch our question back to Mogas, but before I do that, if you guys don't mind me, I have Mogas. I think you can hear us. Like I'm hearing a little bit of background, but if you can hear us on the audio, I'm gonna play like a clip within the leadership of the prior, with Medlis and what some of the things that have been said, and then I want to give an opportunity to Mogas to respond to it, and I'm going to come back talk about the crisis throughout the region in Ethiopia, of course. But right now, I want to stay on these topics. So let's just take a look at this, and I will I'll let the audience and all of us here hear this real quick.
أنتم مناسي إذا نعتم تغيرتون تقرأ كتلم معيا بزول إذا نعتم تزرين ونتعب مستفتري عياداتكم كيف تطلموا
مقحات هدمو أرسلون كورنتي وين بلقتم عدكم ترمرم موت زي ترفتم دمكنا صبدم يسون أطرافوان بدون معنات كبري ومسواتي زتقدس موت سيموت سيموت عرينو زهرين أسمو زفرين نوصل هجوم ما بدي فترة مساعد خلص أوكيد قطعي سبع سنة سلام مسافة رتعي كيلان سنة أنا زوجة بحبري أنا في حدنت بسلسلة فقري يموت يموت أنا خلص عالم عبراوي لسان عيلو تمغنديس ما قدك يوان
English long, bro.
So at the Mogas, that clip is obviously a documentary of success from what the TPLF and EPRDF success, which you are part of. As a former fighter yourself, the country that you brought peace and the country that you helped to make a nation that was growing about 10% GDP annually became hub in the Horn of Africa, security and safety. Explain to the audience, please, what goes to your mind to what we see in Tigray today, the crisis that no one had imagined to see the magnitude that we see today.
I think it's offline.
I think we lost him. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna gonna jump that question to you. So my question, obviously, I'll just make it simple. So I mean, I was hoping that we'll have an opportunity to have him answer that question. But you, as an activist and as a nationalist, how do you feel like to see what our people are enduring?
I feel betrayed, sad, sometimes angry. A lot of times, I go beyond feeling beyond you can imagine. And if we can go back in history, actually, sometimes we have to spot our own problems too, our own mistakes. Most of the time, Tagarus, we fight for that country. The entire history of Ethiopia was based on Tigray. It's not a lie. It's not bragging. It's the truth. We can go back to the Aksumite civilization. We can go back to the Da'amat, 3,000 years. We can go the recent history of Suhul Mikhail. We can go the history of Hatze Johannes IV. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. We Tagaru, our forefathers, they have been fighting and making the country look good. Our people, they have been fighting against foreign aggressor. We can talk about the Turkish invaders. We can talk about the Egyptians, the Italians. We can talk about the Dervish Sudanese. All our history were defending that time. But not even one single history, the so-called Ethiopians stood by the side of Tagaru. The little history they talk about the Adwa War is even a lie. They never fought against the Italians to help Tagaru. Actually, Menelik II, he was bribed. He was going to Tigray, helping the Italians, not helping the patriots of Tigray. The recent history of TPLF is not different. They made the same mistake. They fought for Ethiopia. They lived for Ethiopia. They talk about Ethiopia. They have tried to bring a solution for Ethiopia under the new Ethiopian federalist constitution. They were trying to make Ethiopia look better.
Do you think that's a mistake?
Okay, let me bring it this way. Per se, it's not a mistake. When it's here with the people who can understand you, with the people who can embrace you, it is the right thing to do. But when you consider our history back and whatever we sacrificed, we repeated the same mistake. For example, I remember I was in Oromia when the EPRDF controlled the whole Ethiopia. The fighters of TPLF were told not to fire a bullet to the public, even though there is a resistance. And I have seen in my eyes people spitting on their faces. They didn't do anything. It was an order. It was a disciplined army. What kind of sacrifice do you expect from us? If our young fighters sacrifice that much, they give their life, what do they need? When we come to the power, you can mention about the Amharas, the Oromos, the Southern people, all the ministerial levels, except few, were occupied by the other ethnics. They talk about the military. Even in the military, there were a very few military generals on the top. They were giving their
let me interject there. So I get it. Within the military and the civilian body is what you describe in. There was a very well diverse institution in place, which the TPLF, who then became EPRDF, had a bigger goal and agenda, which was to unite Ethiopia, but to also have a federal system to empower each state within their region, including language. So why do you think the leadership was ignoring the misinformation, the lies, the propaganda machine that the I apologize for those of you who are from the Amhara, but when the Amhara continuously
let me go. You don't have to apologize. Tell it the truth as it is. Because our people, my brother, our people, when we are the most nicest people, they take it wrongly. They think that we're stupid, actually. They think we cannot live by ourselves without Amhara or Oromo, whatever. So I'm sorry to carry off, but no need of apologizing for these people. No need. Actually, we have to tell them how we feel. Can you imagine when a country invites a foreign power and destroy your own country? All the economic development infrastructure have been annihilated now. People are being killed. So why would I apologize for the Maharas? Why would I apologize for the other Ethiopians? Actually, they are morons. They are stupid. I can say. I'm sorry to carry on, but go ahead, brother.
No, that's okay. No, you're describing it. I mean, it's everybody's frustration. Trust me. I've been frustrated, and I have vented in the show. I have vented over the phone. I have vented in person to those whom I spoke with. While I do not advocate, nobody advocates for violence. We, rightfully so, are frustrated and angry. And I've been saying, where are the good Amharas, if there is any of them? And I'm trying to actually bring some to the show, hopefully one of these days. But so my question for you, obviously, and I appreciate you clarifying. I do want you to jump in when I'm doing something that you hear me saying something that that needs to be straightened up. I appreciate you straightening me up. Why did from when Meles was in power, when EPRDF obviously was pretty modernized and whatnot, why was it ignored when the falsification was happening internationally as well as at home? They knew that there were so many lies, that the Amhara was betraying Tigray was somehow the wealthiest region in the country, and that everything else was destroyed. But none of them, well, I can say this, over 99.5% of the Amhara have never walked into the streets of Tigray to see Tigray actually benefited nothing from the movement in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That it lost over 60,000 of the young men and women in the fight, brought democracy and freedom to Ethiopians, and then in return, we were being insulted left and right throughout the country and worldwide. Why was that ignored?
Okay. As far as I understood, the TPLF, they were always looking for a positive outcome. They were expecting things will be better. We get patience. If we handle them diplomatically, if we become like more nicer and do the right thing pragmatically, practically doing the right thing, development, even every political moves, they see it in a practical way. They were not that much active on propagating or utilizing the propaganda machinery like medias to explain about themselves. So they were giving the benefit of the doubt to the people by doing good things. The people will understand. That was their expectation. But that, the way they handle it actually become a counterproductive to their interest. So it's not because the TPLF were bad. As you have said, from day one, as far as I remember, from day one, Kaman Beyena, I remember, in Addis Ababa, on the sports field, he was the one vocal talking against the TPLF. They didn't even make a single chance. But now, when Abi Ahmed came to power, he was the one who kneeled down to his shoes, accepting him without expressing what this guy brought to the country. So there is a complete bad from the Amharic speaking people. Actually, there is no people called Amhara. Amharic speaking. They claim that they're Amharas, but they are not actually Amharas. Some of them, they are Agos, if you classify them ethnically. They are not actually Amharas. But they claim there is Ethiopian nationalism. There is no as such Ethiopian nationalism. And we have all our own political stance, okay? All our political stance, our political principles can only be solved by dialogue. We have to stay and discuss. That was the stand of the TPLF from the beginning. So TPLF have been like a defensive, and then the TPLF was trying to make the people understand by doing some practical things or pragmatic things. So they were not active on using or utilizing the media and propaganda machinery to let the people what they are doing. So that was one failure of the TPLF. The second problem is when it comes to the number, the power of the TPLF was overstretched the whole country. Almost from every region, there was no what we call it in Tigrinya, Wayanai counterpart from Oromia, or everybody was like using the political power for their self-interest only. So they were not concerned about the people. So even recently, when TPLF tried to save the federalist constitution, or when they tried to reorganize the federalist forces, they got 30 million Ethiopian money from the TPLF, but after they go to Addis Ababa, they start working against TPLF. So they were trying to push them away. So what does it mean? The power of the TPLF of the Tagars was overstretched. We were dealing about the Ethiopian issue rather than dealing with our own interests. So we suppressed Tigrayan interests. Actually, nationalist Tagaru were suppressed. The TPLF leaders, they were Ethiopianists. They are pro-Ethiopia. They were trying to save the nation called Ethiopia under the federalist concept. They were trying to save the federalist constitution. So the Tigrayan nationalists, we were listening to them, and they were telling us to cool down, to be patient. That's why actually I just jumped on you. We don't have to be apologists. There is nothing we have done to them. Have you ever heard any Amhara speaking Ethiopian being killed or targeted in Tigray? Never.
That's my next question for you.
Yeah, actually, I'm proud of being Tigrayan, because our Tigrayans still we are principled. We don't believe on killing, but
So
we defend ourselves. So what I'm trying to say is we don't have to apologize.
Sure.
We have to put everything as it is. They have to know how we feel. They have to know what they are doing. They have to be ashamed of themselves. Whatever they are doing is inhuman. If we don't tell them, they cannot feel it. If we don't tell them, they cannot be educated. They cannot learn. So we stand because we have to survive. We have a good cause. We didn't do any crime against them. They talk all about all crimes in the world. They give it to TPLF or any Tigray. Now, if you push away the TPLF, and if I stand to be a nationalist Tigrayan, and if I stand for Tagaru, they will call me a TPLF, because that name they have branded it as a bad name in Ethiopia. So they use it as a tool to hammer it down and squash it down. So, to my understanding, even all the high politicians, TPLF politicians, they haven't done any mistake in Ethiopian politics. Actually, they saved Ethiopia. That's my stand. Economically, diplomatically, politically, in everything, in every measurement, if you take it, the PLF have done a lot for that bad country.
I agree.
For that rotten country.
Here's where I get frustrated, and here's where you come in to help me and many of the young diaspora Tagars. Yeah. So, our heroes fought for 17 years. You describe it, they brought peace and justice, and I have never seen, I've traveled to Ethiopia, Tigray enough to see it. I was blessed enough to be able to travel back and forth. You know, where a lot of people are confused, including Americans and Western who are listening, which is actually part of the reason why we are broadcasting in English, is, we struggle to understand why is there so much hate among the people in the Horn of Africa, but particularly in Ethiopia, the various tribe that you describe that we call them Amhara, but I appreciate you educated me and others into the different group within the Amhara. But why do they dance with us, smile with us when life is good until they get an opportunity? But when there's an opportunity, window of opportunity, they go against us. But to an extent where when there's so many children, 2.5, 2.6 million children of the 4.5 million people who are in needs of immediate humanitarian assistance, and the Maikadra killing that we saw, the Aksum, I can go on and on and on. In fact, I have a map that's pretty old, but there's an estimated like 30,000+ Tagaru have been massacred on the hands of the Amhara, the Fana, which is from the Amhara tribe, Eritreans, 3,000 troops from Somalia who have entered to Tigray. And believe it or not, there are still, by far, the majority of the Amhara believe nobody has died in Tigray, that somehow you and I and the rest of the world, who is really deeply troubled by what's happening, who is crying, that we're just lying. You and I are paid Wayane TPLF propaganda machine. By the way, nice to meet you. I met you a few days ago. I talked to you on the phone. I met you face to face, just as we see right now. So for the audience, but my question for you is, why is there so much, number one, hatred? Number two, why are they denying the truth on the ground that real life is being lost every single day? And in fact, there's a clip that I'm going to show later what the U.S. is actually just say today. But why are the so-called Ethiopian nationalists, those who believe in Ethiopia, allowing foreign countries like Somalia and Eritrea killing their fellow Tigray? Because the Tigray people and the Tigray leadership never say we are a nation or we are splitting away from you.
Yeah, well, currently in Ethiopia, even before, there was no any politics. There was only hate and vengeance. It's just hate and vengeance. That's it. You name it, from Amhara and even from the other ethnic groups. Everything, the way Ethiopia was created, number one is fake. It has a fake history, and a lot of people, they have an identity crisis. For example, those people who call themselves Ethiopians, when somebody says I'm an Ethiopian, actually he's saying he's hiding something. Either he's because to me, there is not an Ethiopian nationality. Ethiopia is a melting pot for a different ethnic groups, nation and nationalities. There is no attached one Ethiopian nationality in that country. Now, a lot of them, they hide themselves. For example, if it's a command, he don't want to call himself command, or Ado, or other ethnic groups, simply because historically, the kings and the queens, they have been subduing and suppressing those people, giving them different names, and they were making them feel ashamed of themselves. That's one reality, okay? So a lot of people, they have a problem with their identity. Then, when there was a armed struggle by TPLF and other political groups, it was for a political principle. Number one, there was an issue about the peasantry of the Ethiopians, because they were subjugated by the system. They have almost all of them, they were leftist revolutionaries. So do TPLF. So TPLF, even though there were some elements who were asking about independence, the majority of them, they were Marxist left revolutionaries. And their whole agenda was Ethiopia. Under Ethiopia, there are different nations and nationalities, and they were fighting for that. When the Derg sent troops to Tigray. Of course, there was deaths, there was loss of bodies. Some of them they become handicapped. There are a lot of problems for sure. We understand it. But why did TPLF fight against the Derg? Because the Derg was a military dictatorship who was not a democratic government. And he said he was a leftist too, but still he was a dictator. Therefore, most of the Ethiopians, especially currently, all their problems, they want to give it to Tigrayans and they want to give it to TPLF. You can see it in parallel to, for example, the Germans. Their own failure they were accusing for the Jews. Exactly the same is happening in Tigray, in Ethiopia. All the failure is happening in Ethiopia, all the identity crisis they have, all the political problems they have, they want to blame it to TPLF. And it doesn't stop on TPLF. It goes all the way to Tigray people. Even some of them, even religious leaders, they call Tigrayans, they are a curse for the country. They were saying Tigray are the cancer for the country. And then if you ask for independence, they don't want to let you go. So their head is so vicious and they don't know what they're doing, actually. Therefore, I cannot say they have a political agenda. Whether the Amharas or others, they don't have any political agenda. The only thing they know is the head.
So then it's to that point. This is where where people are struggling to understand. So the Amhara, or the various group within the Amhara, and the audience are commenting a lot. And so if the audience have any like reasonable, responsible, respectful question for you, I'm going to post it to you. But until they do that, I'm trying to keep it positive. That's why I say I apologize, but an apology in the sense like to show respect, because I've been really irritated and very upset about. I had people telling me in Tigrinya, but I'm going to try my best in English, obviously. But they say the Tagars are always fighting hard to keep Ethiopia's identity together. To collectively, they put their personal life and interests last, including their own region and citizen in Tigray last, because they want to safeguard Tigray. And then the Amhara is what he told me, then always complain and fight to destabilize Ethiopia, and in particular in Tigray. And one of the examples also that this young man told me was, he said, "Do you remember when Meles started the Renaissance Dam?" He said the world became successful to blocking loans to build it because Amhara, particularly those in the diaspora, were so objecting to that progress and process, but that now they want it. They want a piece of it, even though the majority of the funding, that money is funded from Tagara and the diaspora and at home. Now they want to claim that it belongs to them when it comes to the profit, because it's at the stage where it would have been profitable had the evil man Abi Ahmed, by the way, the nickname is Meshrafet, declare war on the very people who put him in power. So, you elaborate in like a lot of areas where it's very helpful for the diaspora to understand the political dynamic inside the country. But so the question is, you talked about religious leaders. Why are the religious leaders, why aren't they waking up and saying, we need to love one another first? We need to take care of each other first before anything else, to have a nation, to be faithful to Allah, to God, to whatever you believe in, number one. Number two, what is the misunderstanding with the various troops within the Amhara region, the Amhara people, that they want to fight Tigray, they want to fight Oromo, they want to fight Afar, they want to fight Beshangul. Now you got Sudan involved. Why are they this naive and really they can't make peace with their neighbors?
Yeah. Okay. In addition to what you have read, we have to always remember the so-called Ethiopians. They are not only hateful, but they are also a backward people. And they don't admit it. They don't understand it. Why I'm saying this, the way they interpret things always emanates from their very, very shallow personal interest. For example, they say, if you are a Tigrayan, you want to speak Tigrinya. Tigrinya is your identity. That's how you grow up, okay? When you speak in Tigrinya, they call you a racist. They speak in Amharic. That Amharic even doesn't belong to them. The truth is, Amharic, it has its own historical roots. It doesn't even belong to them. When they speak Amharic, and you don't want to speak Amharic, they call you a racist, but they call themselves they are Ethiopians and unitaries and whatever. So they don't honor and respect your rights, but they want you to be like them. Okay, you can talk to them in Amharic, or you can make them feel the way they feel, and then you can be a friend to them. Now, after that, they start like denying you even your existence. They rub all your history. So the understand is history of Ethiopia, but out of or except Tigray. Actually, the history Ethiopia brags about is the history of Tigray. So you as a Tigrayan, they want your history, but they don't want you as a person, or they want to deny you your existence. So they are very vicious, they are very hateful, very backward, and they don't understand they are the backward. They are savage, and they don't understand they are savage. They always brag about the Ethiopian greatness, the history of Ethiopia. None of it belongs to the Amhara people. None of it belongs to other people. None of it. That's the truth. And we, Tagar, we fail to address the history they brag about is ours actually. We fail, we don't tell them that that's not your history. That is Tigray history. They can call you racist, whatever. But you have to tell them. If you don't own it, they will take it and they will destroy it. And they use it for their selfish interest only.
So if there was a possibility they can lift up Aksum and Adwa among the two most historical sites in Tigray, and of course there's various other towns and cities throughout Tigray, but those particular two areas that they brag about, if they can take it out of Tigray, you think that they would?
Yeah, if they can take the whole Tigray and eliminate the Tagaros, they will be happy. But by doing that, still they are not going to keep the essence of Tigrayans or the values of Tigrayans. They cannot hold it. They think they are using it. Actually, they might try to assimilate you or occupy you. But after doing that, still the values of Tagaru, they are not going to hold it because it's not within them. It's not theirs.
So what happens now? Let me then. So I was enraged early on, and I'm gonna have you come back on again the show too, because we're gonna have a lot more to talk about. But I think it took me about 2.5 months to recover from my anger, and so I'm trying to contain myself and keep it like inside because I'm trying to just try to act like as normal as I can when it's not possible. So my question for you is, we have many Tagaros, many Eritreans, many Amharas mix by marriage. And in fact, I have several of them reached out to me privately, and they actually expressed to me, I've been challenging them in this show to the particular, I've been saying Amhara, if you're not heartless, I've been calling them heartless. If you're not, when a human being from humanitarian process, when you see children being like put to death by chokehold by more than 500,000 troops from all over Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia,
and they lie about it, yeah.
Right, and they
and
exactly.
The part I did, they lie about it. They deny they didn't do it. Actually, they want to say that the Tigrayans did the Maikadra massacre, and they say the international community cannot go in and investigate. They say they want to hide everything and they want to blame TPLF. Keep on blaming and blaming and blaming. If they have the gut, if they know the truth, if they are not the cold-blooded killers, let the international community come into Tigray. Investigate. This is 21st century. We can investigate everything which happened in Tigray. Psychological analysts can be there. Criminal investigators can be there. Humanitarian journalists. Let them go in. But they want, here is the point, my brother. You're right. It's always good to be calm down. But these people, they don't understand it. My point is, you have to tell them to the face. I don't want to be a cold-blooded guy. I want to tell them, you are evil. You are a killer. You don't deserve us. We are Tagaru. You are the most criminal people ever happened to that country. This feeling, I have to show them. I'm sorry to carry off, but if you don't show them, these people, they are morons. They don't understand it. They are empty people. Trust me. I lived all my life with these people. I speak Amharic. I have friends. All of them, I tell them to the face. You guys, you never stand for truth. If you don't stand for the truth, if you don't speak the truth, you cannot be my friend. You cannot be my brother. I cannot be called, you are my country, but no. If you don't feel my feeling, why would I be a person who came from, I don't want to be called Ethiopian at all. They don't have a feeling at all. And that's the worst. Anger is good. My anger is right. It has a cause. It has a reason. So, we Tagaru, okay, it's not good to go to action. Don't be a violent people, yes, for sure. But make the world understand how we feel. Make understand what is happening in Tigray. Make them understand what they are doing. And they are lying. They are liars. Clearly. They are liars. Liars. And they have to be told. I'm sorry to carry off, but that's how I feel. And that's true. That's the right thing.
So I appreciate that. And I actually compare Abi Ahmed with Donald Trump. And some people say, "Oh my gosh, he's saying that you're in America, you know, you're going to get arrested, you're going to get killed in America." I say, well, that's not really how our constitution works in this country. We can call the president, he's like lunatic, who's a liar, which he is.
He's a narcissist, yeah.
But as much as we saw that Donald Trump was the biggest liar in American history, we actually have Abi Ahmed, Ahmed of Ethiopia, becoming the biggest liar. So if anything, if I have the greatest trophy to give today, crafted with 2021, the biggest like lunatic and liar and killer in the world, that would unanimously go to Abi Ahmed. And I say Abi Ahmed because for those who call him prime minister, let me just say that's where I just like lose faith and confidence in you, because he is not. And for the mixed generation who has blood in Amhara, blood in Tigray, what message do you have for them? How do we get them to join us? How do we, or what do they do when they have half family in one side, another half family on the other side? We can't really throw them away, but what do we do with those people who really?
That part, you're absolutely right, my brother. We have families who have lovers, wives, they have sons and daughters across from that, for sure. But here is the point. If somebody doesn't stand for the truth, whether you have dined with him or whether you have a family relation with him, matters nothing. Doesn't matter. To call somebody my brother, he has to stand for truth. He has to be human. Let me tell you, all of you might know Kasech Tigraweti. She's a white woman. She's from Australia, I believe. We have other activists from Norway. We have a guy from England, Martin Plaut. He's rather my brother. He stand for truth, number one. He stand with me in the most dire situation when happening to my people. These are the real brothers. So having blood relationship or DNA relationship means nothing. So the psychology, these people, they might join us, of course. Why not? They have to. And they have to join primarily if they love that country. If they love their people, they have to join for the real cause. If they don't want, that's their own choice. But I don't have anything to say to them or to beg them to join our slugger against whatever is happening in Tigray or to our people. Sadly, they want to be silent. Sadly, they want ignored, and they want actually not only ignoring, they want to celebrate on the days of Tigray. They want to celebrate when our children were killed by the Amhara militias. They invited foreign power, the so-called Eritreans, to kill, to abuse, and rape our women. They know this news equally like me and you. If they are human enough, they are men enough. If they want to hold the torch of truth, they can. But I'm not going to beg them. But you say you're right. I'm not going to tell any Tigran who have get married with Amhara or the old people get divorced. No, I'm not going to say that, and that's not right. So I cannot hear you, bro.
I apologize. I had myself on mute. So you were talking about the divorce. I want to make a couple of quick remarks there because you said like very interesting thing. I think what I like what you say is that if they care about the massacre, if they care what's happening in Tigray, they should speak out now, not wait like for later and then say, oh, I'm half from Tigray and half from this. And I think there are some now that are coming forward, believe it or not, which I think is a step forward. So to me, I agree with you that if they come out now and they can they speak up and they say this is absolutely unacceptable, I think they should determine their destination, whatever the outcome is going to be when the crisis is over. So why is Ethiopia, if there's so much hate towards Tigray, why can't Ethiopia just have peaceful divorce with Tigray?
That actually that was my stand for a long time. I believe on independence.
That's why I asked you the question, because I kind of sense that.
Yeah, I believe on the independence of Tigray, a peaceful divorce, a peaceful secession of Tigray from Ethiopia and the other nationalities is the best choice. Because having your own country doesn't mean that you're gonna be vengeance against them. You have your own country, they have their own country. Still, we can coexist and live. We cannot live with the same system. Ethiopia, to tell you the truth, Ethiopia cannot be a democratic country. Ethiopia cannot be assimilated because the way it has been created, it will start from a wrong history. We have different aspirations. We have different interests. We don't agree on history. We don't agree on flag. We don't agree on patriots. We don't agree the way we want the future to be. We don't agree on language. For example, I have denied to speak in Amharic for a long time. I don't want. Not because I don't know Amharic. I know it. And I know how Amharic was started. It was a kings and queens language. It doesn't belong to nobody. Actually, the philosophers of Tigray, the linguists of Tigray created Amharic. But I deny. I don't want to speak. Why? Because I want them know how I feel about them. Okay? So independent Tigray is the solution for me. Rather than killing each other, rather than going, they go after us, we go after them, it's good to have a peaceful divorce. Once We take all our responsibility, we'll take the responsibility about our future. Nobody should care about us, and we shouldn't care about them. Because whatever we try to do good, it has been interpreted as bad. Whatever we try, our forefathers tried to sacrifice themselves, sacrifice their lives, sacrifice their resource, it has been taken as something wrong. 7 years ago, the Tegaru were considered, being told by some political activities in the other parts of Ethiopia, we were calling us, we are running apartheid in Ethiopia. Do they even know what apartheid is? What does it mean? They were considering us as an outsider. They were telling us, you don't belong to us. They were telling us, Tegaru were looting and taking resources from the rest of Ethiopia. And they were telling their own people, Tigray is immersing down because the resources have been looted from other parts of Ethiopia and taken to Tigray, which was a naked lie. And people were buying it. And people were angry about that lie. Actually, now they are admitting that they were doing those propagandas intentionally to blackmail, to make Tegaru look bad.
And why is that not a crime?
It is a crime. It's a crime. They committed a crime. Actually, we keep on forgetting. In Amhara, before Abi Ahmed came to power, thousands and thousands of Tegaru have been killed, burned alive. Thousands of people, they fled from Amhara, they went to Sudan. Sudan take care of them, and they went back to Tigray. Now, they went against us to Tigray, and then people again are flooding out from Tigray to Sudan. Is it because of TPLF? No. Same thing happened long time ago in our history. So we have to see the things in both ways. We have also a problem. We're wrong. We keep on craving about Ethiopia. Ethiopia is nothing. It's not going to be useful for Tegaru. It's not going to help us. Actually, the more we stay there, the more we kill each other, the more the things become complicated. Think this way. When we did the election, what if the independence TIP, Tigray Independence Party, won the election? Could have been an independent. But we even Tegaru, we were saying, these young politicians, they don't have experience. We don't want them to be independent now, and etc. and etc. We keep ourselves hostage under Ethiopia. We think we cannot make it without Ethiopia. We think the Amharas and the Oromos, they are our backbone. They are not. They are not at all. We have to admit we can be better by ourselves. Actually, we Tegaru, we are homogeneous historically, in language, in culture, in geographic, the way Tigray is situated in everything, we are more homogeneous than the other. The more it's heterogeneous, the more the interest is diverse, the more we misunderstand each other. And nobody is dominant over the other. So he cannot assimilate it. America become a big empire because the Anglo-Saxons have a big muscle and subjugated everybody. I don't mean that it is right. It's not right. They have done against the Red Indians and whatever history happened in America, but still assimilation works in America. Assimilation in Ethiopia cannot work. We're gonna keep on killing each other and destroying each other with no change. We're gonna kill each other until we bleed and die.
But what about the actors
divorce is good. Huh?
What about the actors like the Israel Security Services assistant Abi Ahmed, the Emirates who are using drones through Eritrea, the 3,000 troops from Somalia who came over through Eritrea, which they were trained in Eritrea. Now there's, I hear, about 180 out of the 3,000 live. The rest of them are dead. Why do we have all these players, these actors, attacking to a very small region in Ethiopia, the Tigray region?
Yeah, actually, if you remember 360, the 360 media outlet in DC, they were propagating the Tigrayan force. They have 250,000 paratroopers, this much amount of heavy artillery, and they were propagating those lies. Now, the Ethiopian federal government was scared of Tigray. They have to invite other forces. And Eritrea, especially Isaias Afwerki, the leadership of Isaias Afwerki, being a Tigray. Isaias Afwerki is a Tigray, but he don't want to be called a Tigray because he was trying to make a new nation, a fake nation called Eritrea, which is a continuity or extension of colonial rule, Italian colonial rule. So rather than being called Tigray, he want to be called Eritrea. And after the struggle, there was a conflict between the PRDF government and the Eritrean government, and he got a big vengeance. And he hates TPLF. He wants to destroy TPLF, and he has to join with Abi Ahmed. Who is Abi Ahmed? Abi Ahmed is a power-hungry idiot, a power-hungry monster, a psychopath, narcissist. He don't have any empathy and feeling about his own people, even his own people, or the Oromo people. He don't have any feeling. Therefore, he was scared of the Tigrayan power, and he has to invite Eritrea. And we were saying Eritrea and the Ethiopian government, they are encircling Tigray, and they are going to attack. Our own bandits, the bandas of Tigray, they were saying, "Don't scare Tagaru, and don't put Tigrayans on hostage." Actually, they were denying the truth in the ground. Therefore, he has to invite all forces to attack Tigray because he was scared. That's one reason. The other is he was clever enough to deceive other politicians and nations. He deceived, for example, the American government. He deceived them big time. As if he knows better, as if he's a Unitarian, as if he's a federalist force, as if he's going to bring Ethiopia back to normal, open society, neoliberal, whatever. He was deceiving the Western power. And manipulation and deception is the true character of psychopathic people, the true character of narcissists. They manipulate people until they hold the power in their hands, and they do whatever they want.
So, do you feel Abiy Ahmed got played by Isaias Afwerki?
Both they play each other actually. Abiy was using Isaias. Isaias also was using Abiy Ahmed. They have an interest in it.
So here's my thought on that.
Interest.
Here's my thought on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, then I'll give myself like a small credit. So Isaias Afwerki is in his mid-70s. He's an old dog that you cannot, it's like there's a saying in America, right? You can't trick an old dog a new trick because they're too old, so therefore they can't learn a new trick. So to me, he's an old man. Abiy Ahmed is thinking Eritrea helps him to somehow magically get rid of TDF, Tigray Defense Forces, in Tigray. Then he can easily maneuver, take power throughout Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and becomes a king in the Horn of Africa, potentially weaken in Somalia because there are already Ethiopians in Somalia. That was his vision because he's immature and he has zero political experience to begin with. So that was his vision without any logistical and political understanding and calculation. Then Isaias Afwerki, his mind is like already like from all the fighting that he did, everything the sacrifice that Ethiopia has put him, no war, no peace. He's been demoralized and humiliated and destroyed. So in his mind, before I die, I've got like an empty mind idiot, mixed Oromo Amhara, Abi Ahmed, Mashrafat Ahmed, who I can use to destabilize Ethiopia by simply getting rid of the EPRDF, the TDF, which is the Tigray Defense Forces. In return, he felt if you weaken Tigray, it's easy to do whatever you want to do in Ethiopia, because we know, as we've been talking in the show, that there aren't genuine fighters in Ethiopia to defeat an army without Tagaru. We know that for a fact. And part of the struggle is they brought 500,000 troops to Tigray from various regions in Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, as we've been repeating it, and then they had the help from the Emirates, drones sold by the United States of America, and they both, at the end of the day, fail to achieve neither each other's goal that they had in mind. Please help me to understand if that's incorrect, my analysis of the two evil.
Absolutely right. To add something on it, the interest of Isaias Afwerki is to be an architect of East Africa. Actually, he's an empty person. He don't have nothing. He don't have an ideology. He don't have a concept. He cannot even convince a child. Okay, but he considers himself. He is an architect of East Africa. He talk about Djibouti. He talk about Somalia. He talk about America sitting in Eritrea, a barren land with nobody. People flooding every minute. They don't have a future. His soldiers even they don't even have a shoes. Okay, and then he have a military spot called Sawa. He only teach them what? Hate. He teach them what? How to be a brutal killer. And he tried to build Eritrea on the head of Ethiopia, and recently by hating Tigray. If you hate Tigray or Tigray, if you hate Ethiopia, it can be automatically an Eritrea. So Isaias Afwerki has a big ego. He considers himself, he is an architect of East Africa. Number two, he considers himself not as a Tigray or as an African, but he considers himself as a black Italian, Graziani. He is a continuation of the colonialist. The feeling of colonialism is within himself. He cannot be a national Tigray. He cannot live for Tagaru. He said word by word, the development undertaking in Tigray are a dynamite explosions plotted against Eritrean interests. He said he's the leader of a country, but he considers himself an architect of East Africa. That's his ego. Therefore, to achieve his stupid goals, he has to join with a guy who is craving for power, with no political experience, is hungry, is narcissistic, is a psychopath. He can easily manipulate him. That's what Isaias was trying to do. So the stumbling block against Isaias' interest was TPLF, Tigray People's Liberation Front, because they did the struggle for equality, justice, and prosperity, and Ethiopia under federal system. If you create Ethiopia stronger under federal system, understand each other, mutual interests, respecting each other, and grow, then the dream of Isaias is going to be nothing. So he don't want that one. So he partnered with him, with a power-hungry guy called Abi Ahmed, a plagiarist with no substance, no political, an empty person. And who is Abi Ahmed? Who is behind him? People with so-called Ethiopian nationalism. The nationalism doesn't exist. Who are these people? People who have an identity crisis. People who don't want to call themselves who they are, because there is an emptiness inside, no history. So they want to hide themselves under the so-called Ethiopia. What is Ethiopia proud of? The history of Tigray. So they don't want to call Ethiopia Tigray. They don't want to call it because they are against Tigray. So they have a very, very, very serious identity crisis on the so-called Ethiopians. Okay? Therefore, coupled with the backwardness, the religion, the superstition, and everything is in the country. So people, you can easily manipulate them. That's how they are doing it. So the partnership of Eritrea, the partnership of Abiy, Mashrafat, and Isaias is simply going against Tigray or TPLF.
And I think in Amharic, both of them would be what, named Dedebuch?
We can call it, yeah.
Meaning, so one of our guests, Grace is a name she or he uses in this platform. I think misheard me or misunderstood what I said. So to clarify to the audience, what I said was Tigray has been attacked by Somalian troops, Eritrean troops.
3,000, yeah.
3,000 Somalian troops have been sent from Eritrea, and Somalis around the globe, including in Somalia, are like demanding an answer from their government. The Eritreans, no matter how many troops they send, they're losing them just like, you drop sugar and water, it melts so quickly that you'll never have access to it. In fact, there's a soldier, an Eritrean soldier, managed to escape from center of Tigray to Sudan. And one of the statements that he gave was, he said, when the Tigray Defense Forces do not fight in cities, he said, they fight you in the mountains. When you go to one mountain, you take a mountain up before you spend 3 days and 3 nights in it. You don't even see them where they come from. They come and kill you. And all I see and I saw and all I know is I can see my fellow Eritreans dying in front of me, but I have never seen their soldiers being killed. And they will come in, destroy us, and be gone. And we have no idea what direction they show up and what direction they take off. So that's some serious skill. So where I'm going with this is that the effort that was put in, that the drones used in Tigray, to clarify to those who misheard me, what I said was there are drones sold to the United States Emirates from the United States of America.
Yeah, let me correct you. They bought it from China.
People have said they're Chinese-made drones. Yeah. So with that being said, the early news that we have heard have been back and forth that they've been talking about, they've been sold from the United States of America. I think the U.S. has clarified that. I've been told and I've heard that they are sold from China. Regardless, at the end of the day, there are Emirates drones that have no business to kill civilians in Tigray. So regardless of what happened, here's my thing. The United States of America under Donald Trump has failed the Tigray people. The world community has failed the Tigray people. From humanitarian standpoint view, we were, I think, Abi Ahmed, you and I can agree, and many who know the truth can agree today, that Eritreans, Somalians, Ethiopians will never defeat the Tigray military. We know that. I don't even want us to waste our time. So for those of you who are listening, if you can't understand that narrative, that fact, I ask you to look at yourself in the mirror and grab the biggest pill that you can find and try to swallow that, because that's the fact. So to move on, today, the United States of America has spoke. Tomorrow, there is a new president in the White House. Do you feel we're going to have some serious diplomatic pressure and action from the United States of America? Before you answer it, I want to show a clip.
Okay.
So this is earlier today. Someone sent me a link of it, and I'm going to play the audio. Hopefully you can hear it. I think you can see the screen. But I'm going to play the audio.
I think it starts with our very active engagement, not being AWOL when these problems emerge. Ethiopia, I share your deep concerns. We have seen a number of deeply concerning actions taken, including atrocities directed both at people in Tigray, directed at Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia. I think.
Okay. I'm going to cut off right there. And then, so you heard him.
Yeah.
That he say, we heard you when he say Ethiopia, I think they're struggling to understand the geopolitics, obviously, but he's referring to the Tigray people in the diaspora who's directly been engaging with the United States of America. And many of us as Americans, we are sick and tired of what's happening to our people back in Tigray. So he say they have all the facts. He said there's atrocity against the Tigray people and the Eritrean refugees in Tigray. Please have your thoughts on that.
Yeah. First, let me say the Trump administration failed to keep the values of America. They failed us as Tagaru, and it's a shame. Secretary Pompeo, he was doing nothing, and he knows the truth. I have tried to explain what Ambassador Heman Kwon have been saying 7 years ago. You were saying, let's take out Eritrea out of call. Why? Because the Eritrean government, the brutal government of Eritrea of Isaias Afwerki, was cornered politically, diplomatically, and militarily by the FRDF. You want to save him because you want to get rid of Chinese involvement in Africa. That's not a problem for me. But you serve an evil one. You actually destroyed the Eritreans. Now, what I'm trying to ask the American government is, don't trust me, okay. Don't believe the Ethiopian government. Go yourself, go to the ground, and force the Ethiopian government to go into Tigray, investigate what is happening in Tigray. That's it. Just be a witness yourself.
Now they do have facts, by the way. They did release statements saying they had satellite images and communication interception from the Eritreans when they were denying
it. That's exactly it. What I'm trying to say is the information they have from the distance is actually not enough. If they go in person, if they send somebody or an envoy to Tigray, the situation in Tigray is much worse than what they understand it now. So whatever we're saying, or whatever the government of Ethiopia or federal government of Ethiopia, Abi Ahmed is saying, just keep it aside. Be the primary witness. And I want to say, America is stopping the world not to get involved in Tigray situation. If America wants to do it, yes, they can do it. The United Nations Security Council is waiting the go-ahead signal of America. I have a faith, I have a belief. The President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris government, they are gonna do the right thing. That's my belief, and that's gonna be keeping American values. America is known for justice. America is known for resoluteness. America is known for a lot of good things. And we, especially Tagaru, we know America, what they did, what they helped us long time ago. They were by our side. We acknowledge that. And they were right during the dark time and even before. We have a lot of projects in Tigray which has been helped by America. Okay? So Americans, they have to live to their own ideas. So don't listen to me, don't listen to somebody else. Just go yourself, investigate yourself. Who is hiding the facts? Of course, the federal government of the so-called Abi Ahmed government is hiding it. They were denying the presence of Eritrean troops in Tigray. All their cadres, the government himself, he was lying, naked lie. You know it, he was lying. You can force him, yes. They were denying the use of drones by United Arab Emirates. Actually, they bought it from China, that's the information you have. And you know it, he was lying. But what makes Secretary Pompeo to be silent? What makes President Trump to be silent? Either they want America to look bad, or they don't care about the third world countries. or maybe this psychopath and narcissist leader is their choice, and then they want to destroy Ethiopian legacy. They want Ethiopia to be destroyed. Either of them. I don't know. They cannot beat down the truth. The truth in ground is they are killing innocent people. They are raping innocent people, both Eritrean soldiers and Ethiopian soldiers. That's the truth. They have assassinated 3 senior Tigray leaders. They were not fighting. Asmalash Abanobso, he was not fighting. He's a blind and he is handicapped. His Excellency Abai Haye, he had a heart surgery. He is 70 plus years old. Same is true with Siyum. Siyum was assassinated in Tigray. Either by Eritrean, we don't have the right information, either by Eritrean troops or by Ethiopian troops. They assassinate them. Why? Because they stand for truth. These gallant fighters, they stand with their people. They could have said, yes, we are with you, like Samora, like Johannes Gebremeskel. They could have been a puppet, but they chose not to be a puppet. They want to stand for truth. They want to stand with their people. They want to stand for the real cause. And they got killed. This is execution style killing. They didn't get killed fighting. The wife of General Hayele Maraya, we heard she was pushed in a cliff. She went from America back to Tigray. She was assassinated. So, American government, you have a responsibility and you know the truth. We are only asking to have investigators in the ground. Go by yourself. Send envoy, United Nations envoy. On top of that, the humanitarian problem is encroaching now.
So to your point there, I'm gonna play the clip. It's about 60 seconds, and then I want you to finish your thought right after this.
Okay.
I think it starts with our very active engagement, not
I'm having to roll over again.
When these problems emerge. Ethiopia, I share your deep concerns. We have seen a number of deeply concerning actions taken, including atrocities directed both at people in Tigray, directed at Eritrean refugees in Ethiopia. We, I think, need to see much greater access to the region, accountability, an effort to put a dialogue in place so that the issues.
All right. So that was a short clip, but I feel there's a hope there. I hope that the new administration, like you said, would speak out and say something, do something. The UN could easily, if the US jumps on board, hold a resolution, which is very key for the audience to understand. The reason we need a United Nations mandated investigators on the ground for the atrocity is that the UN has authority to not only investigate for the crimes that are occurring in Tigray, but they have the mandate to prosecute those who committed the heinous crime in Tigray. So before you answer your question, to the Amharas, to anyone in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, and Somalia who stands with dictators and opens up champagne and celebrates while innocent people are massacred, and yet they flip the switch and say, oh no, they were killed by the Tagarus. Just as like what you have said, what do you have to hide? Let the investigators go in. Let independent investigators go and investigate, because we don't believe you. We don't trust you. We have no faith in you. Therefore, let them go in. Let them investigate. I'll let you finish your thought.
Yeah, that's what exactly. I'm going to repeat it again. First, I want to thank Mr. Anthony John Belkin, the new nominee for Secretary of State, the way he tried to put it is actually what we was looking for. And again, I don't have any faith. I don't trust Abi Ahmed. I don't trust the Amhara elites. I don't trust the Amhara militias. We are only saying the international community have the mandate, have the obligation, step in. Whatever is happening is a genocide. We're calling it genocide is happening in Tigray. Could be the mistake of the TPLF. TPLF can be bad. Whatever it is. Right now what is happening is there is a heinous crime happening in Tigray. The whole Europe is saying, standing against the administration of Abi Ahmed. You can follow the tweets of His Excellency John Alton, Martin Platt, a lot of European activists. Even the whole Europe is against what is happening in Tigray. The only power who is resisting is the American government. It's a shame for President Donald Trump. And American has to feel ashamed by the acts of Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. Actually, he himself is refusing to give power to, so I don't expect anything when I see it now. But it's a shame for the American values. America is not like that. America has its own values. It's human. It always stands for justice. We know the Second World War. We know a lot of stories in what happened in the world. So I believe the new government, the new administration is going to step in. We're not saying side with Tagar. We're saying side with the truth. To side with the truth, you need to have first-hand information. To get a first-hand information, you need to send your own envoy or your own team to the ground. Ask the people what happened. So who is hiding all these truths not to be revealed? The so-called Japan government and the Amhara. These are the ones who are resisting because they think they have. We are saying that I don't have any doubt, as you have said it, Mike, I don't have any doubt Tagaru will win against these all odds. We will win. We will win. I have full confidence on that. But we're going to sacrifice a lot of people. Why? Why war? Why killings? While the international community can step in and do what they have to do. This is what we are demanding. This is what we are asking. And I'm hoping and I have a full faith. President Biden administration, Kamala Harris administration, they are going to do the right thing. I'm 100% on that.
Which is standing for humanity, for justice,
for justice and truth. Yep.
For those who are at no fault of their own, have no access to water, have no access to basic needs like such as food, electricity, internet is still shut down. Tomorrow, while the inauguration goes on, to all of you who are like listening, it is actually Twitter Day for us in the diaspora. We want you to tweet. In your tweet, we would like you to congratulate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. In your tweet, we ask you respectfully and kindly to please include genocide on Tigray, war on Tigray. Indicate the word Tigray, acknowledge, let them know that there's atrocity, ongoing atrocity on civilians in Tigray. So that is the goal that we have on January 28, 2021. We'll have worldwide protests. The 22nd, which is this coming Friday, Seattle, Washington, Minnesota, Sydney, Australia would protest. That was the original plan that we had, but it's been postponed to January 28th. With that in mind, Sudan has always been there for us. It is still there for us today. Eritrea just expelled the Egyptian ambassador a few days ago. Sudanese troops are capturing a chunk amount of lands within the Amhara region, they say that it was a land that belonged to them and it was taken from them by Haile Selassie in 1902. I don't know the history. I'm just like telling you what I heard. Okay, I'm not.
Actually, Abi Ahmed himself, the Sudanese politicians are saying Abi Ahmed himself invited them to occupy the Ethiopian territory because he was trying to encircle the Tigray Defense Force. His stupidity, his idiotism, and the General Al Burhani, he said Abi Ahmed has to be crazy. He invited us. He told us to occupy. Now he's saying, "Get out of my land." This is really crazy. So they're exposing him left and right. The only person that are supporting him is Eritrea, and Eritrean government is as he don't even have a personality to defend himself. He denied himself like he's a Tigray, born in Tigray, raised in Tigray. He's a Tigrawa for sure. But he has a self-hate. The only person who trying to help him is Isaias Afwerki. Who is Isaias Afwerki? He was actually against the interest of Ethiopia. He was insulting Ethiopia. He entire his life he was against the interest of Ethiopia. Now they become good friends because they have to coexist. But the truth cannot be hidden. No way. Truth always says, "I'm here." You cannot hide the truth. So sorry for cutting you off, but go ahead, brother.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I just you actually summed it up because that was going to be my next thing is that I heard the general. So my Arabic has extremely very rusty because I haven't used it for about 30 years.
No,
But I've been listening
I wish I knew.
Sudan Broadcasting in Arabic, and just a few days ago, that's actually what I capture from the basic Arabics that I understand is that they were insinuating that somehow that it was perfectly like communicated and approved by Abi Ahmed. So then my question for you is, wait, are the Amharas like numbed or are they drunk like since November 4th? Or what's happening to them?
Yeah, well, hate is bad. You know, to repeat it again, they don't have any political agenda. Those people who call themselves Amhara, actually they are not Amharas. If you dig in by ethnicity down to their roots, there is something that they feel ashamed of. Why? We have to accept the previous kings and queens. You know, they were discriminating. You are Qatkati, you are something, and there and there. Zafan, Azmari, was a this kind of thing, they have some kind of stigma for sure. That I can understand. Now, but where do they hide themselves? Under the name Ethiopia. Where does Ethiopia came from? From nowhere. It's an invented name. Ethiopia, the name itself, Ethiopia, is an invented name. It was given to historically, it was given to the current day Sudan, the Nubians. The Nubians are actually the Ethiopians. Who called them Ethiopians? The Greeks. What we call the Nubians. Our King Izana, called the Nubians, or the Greek name Ethiopia, Merowe. We call it Merowe. It was the A's administration spot for King Izana. So the name Ethiopia, sometimes they bring it, you know, they say there was a king called Ethiopius. He was born by some kind of mystic. His sperm was on the river, and then he went in the womb of the woman. He was born. It's just bullshit. It's nothing empty. But they hide themselves under the so-called Ethiopian. Why? Because they don't have history. When they dip in, they were subjugated for a lot of different names, and then they don't want to reveal it. Somebody, for example, they don't want to call themselves Gafat. But there was people called Gafat in Amhara. They were Waito. They don't want. They were Kumfi. They don't want to call themselves Kumfi. They were Ago. They don't want to call themselves Ago because they don't feel proud being Ago. Okay? But we, particularly for some reason, we have a long history. We call ourselves Tigray without hiding anything. So they don't want that name. So they need the history, but they don't want that name. So the thing, Ethiopianism is a fake, rotten name. That's why. Okay? It doesn't have any basis inside. Therefore,
So here,
go ahead.
here's my before we wrap this up. So there's no Ethiopia. I could not have said it better than you have. I actually have said this repeatedly here before. So the name itself, I believe, the various ethnics within the Amhara region will, I believe, happily take that name Ethiopia. You got Tigray, we know what's happening. Afar, the Beshangul Gumuz. You got Gambela, you got Oromia, you got Somali of the Ethiopian region, you got the southern nations and nationalists and peoples region. Now, so my question for you is, Addis Ababa is in the hearts of Oromia. It's got an estimated, I don't know for sure, but an estimated 4 to 6 million people from various ethnics throughout the country. Used to be called Ethiopia. 52 to 53,000 Tagaru are in jail in Addis Ababa. Tagarus, based on their ethnicity, are harassed, beaten, arrested on a regular basis in Addis Ababa. Most Tagaru throughout Ethiopia and Tigray, their bank accounts are frozen. They cannot have, they do not have access to their own money. I mean, folks, I'm serious. So all this going on, we're talking about the basic fundamental rights that we all enjoy in this country. Even though we're not in a perfect union, at least we know the hard-earned money that we put in a bank account. We expect the government, if there was one, to respect the Constitution and to enforce it. Instead, when the government becomes crook, when the government becomes criminal, who then stands up? And when the people, for the most part, in those majority of states, with the exception of the Beshangul and the Oromia and the Somali, are not rising up to defend the Constitution, to fight for unity, one, who takes over Addis Ababa? And two, why such failure within the Ethiopian military that is betraying and turning its back on its people in Tigray by invading the region in violation of the self-determined states that each region has its own system in place, and yet bring Eritrea, which I'm hearing now, Eritrea actually is refusing to leave Tigray and telling federal forces in Tigray, this is not a story. I'm telling you this exactly from people on the ground, that they're telling the Amharas, one, there's a language barrier, by the way, because Eritreans speak Tigrinya. The federal troops in Tigray speak Amharic. The Tagaru, who were fighters within the federal system, are completely removed from the military. So they don't even have a common language to understand one another. But Eritrean troops are telling the Amhara like this, which means you guys are a bunch of donkeys. We're the one help you to get to Mekelle. You see what my point is. What's going on here? The failure of the so-called Ethiopia is now turning Christ on its own. And where is Mashrafat Muhammad? Abi Ahmed.
Yeah, actually, the Eritrean, previously they were saying they brought the Tigray Population Front to Arakilo. We carry you and we put you in power to Arakilo. By the same token, now they are saying we put the Amharas and the Ethiopian, the stupid Ethiopian Defense Force to Mekelle. They are telling them we are the one who are the architect of the war. Actually, they are. They did. Now they are insulting them. Good. I'm not saying that Eritrean troops being in Tigray is right. I don't support that. That's not right. But whatever they are saying is exactly true. A lot of people are agreeing this war is Isaias Afwerki's war. It's not stupid Abi Ahmed's fault. It's not at all. He knew, Isaias knew Abi Ahmed is hungry for power. And he have a feeling of vengeance. Isaias want to punish Tagaru. He wants to destroy TPLF because it is TPLF who cornered him, who put him into freeze politically, militarily, economically, in everything. But Isaias want to appear as if he's an architect of East Africa. And he has a good partner who is stopping Abi Ahmed. The other laughable point is, you mentioned the Japan general who was saying, we send all Tigrayan militaries home because we don't trust them. What evidence do you need? Why would you need Ethiopia after all? Why would we need it? Why do we expect any sympathy from these people? They are telling you, he is a government official. He is not defending the constitution, which is supposed to be a common thing for all the so-called Ethiopians, peoples, nation and nationals, whatever. He's not defending the constitution. He was saying he don't trust Tigrayan military personnel in the war in Tigray. They were excluding them. You mentioning about the Tagaru in jail. They are not actually 50,000. They are 100,000 plus. Nobody knows where they are now.
Behind my numbers on there, big time.
Yeah. And we've been hearing a lot of Tigrayan houses, they were marked exactly how the Germans did on the Jews. The Germans were putting the David star in every Jewish house on the Second World War. Exactly that's what they did. Who did that one? The majority are the Amharic speakers. There is no Amhara people per se. They claim they are Amharas. But originally, some of them, they are Oromos. Some of them, they are from Clements, they are from Agou, this and that. And this is what the Western society has to understand. There is no called Amhara people. There are people who speak Amharic. I can speak Amharic. It's a language. There are no people called Amharic. There is no a nation called Ethiopia. Ethiopia is made of different nations and nationalities. The thing the TPLF tried to bring to Ethiopian politics is let's coexist on a mutual respect. Let's respect each other. Let's work together on a common interest. That was it. Equality and prosperity and justice. But who is blamed? They call us we are minorities. And we 5 million people, they think we subjugate them, the 100 members. They said it on their media. Exactly the Germans were saying against the Jews. The Jews were the minorities, actually. So they couldn't find any reason to blame Tagar. And they have to made up allegations, allegation after allegation, their own failure. Even the Oromara group, they were saying, there is a third force, invisible force, who is working against us, who making us fight each other. What were they trying to say? They were targeting Tagaru. Now the whole system, Japan system, is against Tagaru. 100,000, they are in jail now. No justice. Anybody who said whatever they are doing is wrong, they put them in jail. Case in point. Lidato Ayale, what does he say? More than Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki, my brother, my sister, the closest person whom I work with, should be Jawar Mohammed, should be Debrecen. He was trying to play, he was trying to balance it and bring everything to negotiation.
Why didn't they listen to him? Why didn't the Amhara ignore that? Why? I mean, I remember when he gave that speech, actually in Amharic, I listened to him. He said he'd rather go to Mekelle and have a debate with Dr. Debrecen, because he say Mekelle is my country, Eritrea is my enemy.
Yeah. Actually, they call Lidetu a traitor. They call him a backstabber because he was not a hater like them. Because their existence depends on hating Tagaru. They want to attack Tagaru. If you don't attack Tagaru, they exclude you. That's why I was trying to say we shouldn't have any apology about these people. A lot of them, they have hate inside it. Hate is not good for them. And we have to tell them they are hateful. It's not politics at all. They call other people because they keep their tradition a racist. Actually, they are the racists. And they call them chauvinists and whatever it is, whatever the political meaning it has. But more than chauvinism, they are hateful and revengeful. They only need the history of Tigray. And they want to make it as if they are own. The truth is, they don't even exist when that country was established. When we had a civilized society in Tigray, they didn't exist. That's the truth. You can read a book of Alvarez. You can read books written by the European traveler. What was his name? He wrote the book with Ababa long time ago. You can read all this. He's a Portuguese traveler who happened to be in East Africa. The only people who exist on that area was Tagaru, and you go to Somaliland now, the Puntland. And in southern Ethiopia, you have only the Hadiyas, Kambata and the Hadiya. That's it. They never exist. There was a cannibalism in Amhara. Cannibalism, until recent. Anyway, I can talk a lot of historical facts. Now they have an identity problem. Yes, we can understand it. They also have, yes, we can understand. But whatever happened in history, the only solution for all those problems was dialogue and discussion. They don't want that. They want to manipulate things. They want to take advantage of it, and they want to destroy all the legacies of the God. And it didn't happen only once. It has happened over and over and over and over. And we gotta keep on keeping the so-called Ethiopia. We fight for it. We fight for it. So this
is it. We're done. We're sick and tired of it.
So everything in that country is not politics at all. It's not ideology. It's not principle. It's hate-driven. It's hate at all. So if you burn somebody alive, if you tell them to get out of your place and evacuate and they kill you, what else do you need? What evidence do you need? A lot of Tagarus, before Abi Ahmed came to power, they were killed in Amhara region. They live in Amhara region 40 plus years. Almost the entire adult life they have been living in Amhara. They've been told to get out. In Tzalemt, in Western Tigray now, in my cadre, why don't they let everybody to investigate? Go and investigate. They kill children. They beheaded. So you telling me this? I'm going to be an Ethiopia with these people? You telling me I will be silent for the sake of federal whatever Ethiopia? No.
But they're also, so let me, and I agree with you there, but here's the thing that I want our audience to understand, and we will wrap this up. I appreciate your time. It's we've been at it pretty substantial amount of time. So Tigray and the Tigray people, Tigray leadership, leading to this war, had never asked to split from Ethiopia. I'm not telling you this because you already know that, but to the audience to understand it. Okay. Abi Ahmed lied that the Tigray Defense Forces attack military base in Tigray, which is not true. In fact, he sent several jets to overtake and kidnap the Tigray government and fail right before November 4th, before he launched the attack, actually. So if we want to talk about truth, so for those of you who are asking questions, I see some of your questions. So let's just get that straight, that Tigray did not attack federal troops. In fact, a year and a half ago, when the large majority of the troops were pulled from Tigray, the Tigray citizens say no, they blocked the roads, they would not allow the federal troops to leave. The regional government say that will be in violation of the Constitution. We must, live up to the Constitution, and we cannot block them. So they have to leave at the order of the prime minister then. Okay. So talk about respect of the rule of law. That I think that's probably the biggest mistake in Tigray, in my opinion, is by respecting the rule of law. I think we are paying hefty price when those in Addis Ababa, Arat Kilo, were actually doing the opposite. So one person asked, what is the language spoken in Tigray? Well, Tigray is the state, to be the nation. The language spoken in Tigray is called Tigrinya. I would like you to do a closing statement. I would like to invite you another time to come to the show, but I want us to save a little bit of our voice for next time. What message do you have to diaspora abroad, to those who are not Tagaru but supporting Tigray and Tagaru for human rights, and those Tagaru throughout Ethiopia, outside Tigray, who are suffering on the hands of the Amhara thugs, the federal troops in Addis Ababa, and the 4.6, 4.5 million Tigray people that are in needs of immediate help? What message do you send to them?
Yeah, I want to say Ethiopianism is a shame. It's a weird concept. It's not going to serve the interests of Tagaru. Tagaru are not going to prosper under the name of Ethiopianism. Actually, it cost us a lot. Until you must pass away, you were saying again and again and again, we have to do political dialogue, and we are Ethiopians. The same is true of Asmala Shabanus. The same is true of His Excellency Abi Ahmed. All those who passed away until today, they've been pro-Ethiopia. Abu Isbahat, he was saying, we are Ethiopians. It costs them life. It costs them everything. No respect from Ethiopians. It's a lie. They are liars. They want prosper under the subjugation of Tagaru. They feel Ethiopians when they kill Tagaru. They feel Ethiopians when they destroy Tigran legacy. That's it. Don't expect anything from Ethiopia. The name itself, Ethiopia, is a fake name. It has no basis, no historical basis, no cultural basis, nothing. It's empty. It's void. Okay. Let's love ourselves. Let's know our history. Let's know our culture. Make Tigrinya much known in the world. You don't need Ethiopianism to be part of this world. You have a right to live as a Tigray. You can have your own country. You can live like Tigray. The only thing you need is be Tigray, don't hate others. That's it. But know who is hating you. Know who is your enemy. Know who is trying to destroy and kill you. All the Tigray legacies, they don't want to be told in Tigray, in Ethiopia. How in the world we want to be an Ethiopian? For what reason? So they need your history. They need your culture, but they don't want name your name. They don't want to acknowledge you are a Tigray. So the fake Ethiopianism only becomes strong under the days of Tigray. It has been like that before. It's happening now. It's going to happen next. Therefore, Tagaru, we don't need Ethiopia. We are enough. The second thing I want to say is, Tagaru we need self-respect. We need confidence. A lot of people, they say, as if we don't have enough resources to make it. Actually, we don't know our resources. We didn't work on it. We've been working on the other part of Ethiopia as if we don't have nothing. Tagaru, we have enough. Historically, culturally, natural resource, philosophy, in anything. So it's better to know a lot about Tigrinya and Tagaru than thinking about the so-called Ethiopia, which is not going to last long. We're not destroying, they are destroying it themselves. Now, the so-called Ethiopian empire or Ethiopian leaders, they will come again and again and again as if they have a big respect for Tagaru. If they kill your father, if they kill your brother, there is no reason they will be merciful to you. They will be okay until you didn't resist. The time you start resisting against their interest, for sure they will defame you, for sure they will blackmail you, for sure they will kill you. This is the whole history of Ethiopia. And the world has to understand Tagaru. Tagaru, our Tigran forefathers, they have sacrificed more than enough. Don't understand the Tigrayan history as Ethiopian history. Ethiopia don't have any history. It's a void, savage place, backward, savage place. This is the truth. And history has to be taught. So the Western world don't call us Ethiopian anymore. Try to understand what Ethiopia is. Where does it come from? Yes, it's the making of the neo-colonialists. Please, forget the colonial era. The colonialists, they have done their own damage. Don't repeat it again. We are part of the world. We can live by our own merit. We can govern ourselves. From any corner of Tigray, anybody can be a leader of Tigray. There is no fight between Tagaru. Because we have a common historical background. We understand each other. We are more homogeneous than others. So, and we Tagaru, we have to work on this. We have to understand what is going on. We have to work on ourselves. Let's forget the narration of Ethiopianism. Now, some Oromiya speaking people are trying to be the saviors of Ethiopia. The same thing is being repeated by the Western world. They are saying the Oromos, they are a majority, they are going to save Ethiopia. Why would he save the so-called Ethiopia? It has been killing its own people for generations. It has never been democratic. It has been lying the entire history, lie after lie after lie after lie. Anybody who resists, anybody who tells the truth is considered like the enemy of the empire, and they have to destroy it. A lot of Tagarus, we don't know it, but most of Tagarus have been flooding that country in different countries for generations. And we have been silent. We don't speak up. Because we Tagarus, our upbringing is patience. We give value for patience. But this world doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And we have to know our values. We Tagarus, we fought and we win, but we forget. Let's not forget. Let's remember what Minilik did. Let's remember what Haile Selassie did. Let's remember Dirk did. Let's remember what he's doing now. Or our history. For what? It's not about TPLF only. TPLF never been bad for Ethiopia. They did more than enough. They sacrificed their life. But they have been chased. They have been blackmailed. The so-called Bach Adebele, the so-called, what do you call him, the current chief of staff, they have been captured by Tagarus. And they were given a power. Never happened in the history of the world. If somebody surrenders, if you capture him, there is no way he can be your leader. It only happened by TPLF. And they don't consider this one the goodness of Tagaro, the principle of Tagaro. They think Tagaro are weak. They think. So we Tagaro, we have to stop to be an enemy of ourselves. Let's build Tigray together. We don't need the so-called Ethiopia. We don't need the so-called Amharic. It's a junk, useless language. Tigrinya, Englishnya, Tigrinya, Arabic. These are the world languages. You don't need Amharic. For gossip, you might use it. That's it. It has no value at all. It has to be shelved. This is the only thing I can say. And keep on saying it.
So I'm going to do my quick summary also. But you know what? After I finish mine in English, I'm going to let you go one more time in Tigrinya, because we got a lot of Tagars also listening here, and they've been patient. They want to hear you summarize it, which is I do it on every show. At the end of the usually the show, we like to finish it with Tigrinya. So I'm going to say this. To those of you who have joined us for a couple of hours now, I greatly appreciate you. Cyber Power of Tigray is doing the very best that we can to cater those of you who may be limited in speaking Tigrinya. So we wanted you to know that we care about you. We love you. We appreciate your support. Your movement has inspired me to volunteer my time to do this and to be a community organizer to help, end the crisis, the massacre, the looting, the raping, the chokeholds that have taken place in our homeland, Tigray. I think it is clear now that we have evil in its making. We have heartless millions of Ethiopians who are pretending somehow. Civilians' death in Tigray, a celebration in their homes abroad, and to hear some of those folks who flew from Addis Ababa to Washington, D.C. and saying, oh, nothing is happening back home. Everything's perfect in Tigray. The federal troops are just liberating the Tagaru because the Tigray people have been under siege by its own junta. Junta is actually Abi Ahmed. Junta is actually you meaning those of you from the Amhara who are lying, who are misspeaking. If you're unhappy because I called you out, my brother just told me, I will not apologize. I will call you out on it. So if you have heart, if you're a decent human being, come on in the show. Send me a private message into my Facebook, Mike Casahun. You can send me a message. I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll be happy to bring you in the show if you really want to be honest. So to the Tagars all over the world who is feeling hopeless and helpless, I will say this to you. You are amazing. What this crisis have done to us, to Tagaru, is united us. We are galvanized. We are strong, united. We are fighting together. So we're not going to give up hope. You are a fighter. War is not one just arming up each and every human being and fight on the battlefield. We are fighting this war abroad. So continue to write the letters to your congressmen, congresswomen, senators. Continue to contact the U.S. government. We are in the final stage of convincing the United States of America, our country to many of us who are citizens of this country, that we have every right as a constituent to pressure our elected officials to tell them on behalf of our people back in Tigray that they must speak up for humanity, for justice, for equality. America stands for those values that Americans fought around the world to support justice and freedom for all. So when 750 people are pulled from one church in Aksum and massacred, that is called genocide. So Abi Ahmed, Isaias Afwerki, you are a killer. Neither one of you are a real man. When you loot civilians' properties and you run out of anything that you can steal, now you are stealing donkeys. Folks, Eritreans, my brothers and sisters, Eritrean Hawad, Aitashu, Eritrean wa yunahatkum marahi. Isaias Afwerki. سرقوا دورهم بلعوا طير بلعوا حيز خاي ادقي يسرق زل منقستكم زي زحفر you. Anyway, I'm going to hold myself back. I'm going to let my brother have his statement in Tigrinya. I'm going to have my say in the end in Tigrinya as well. But I really appreciate to all of you who have joined us tonight. I'm going to bring him back hopefully this weekend maybe. If you're available, I'd like you to come back again. We'll have more discussion. So I will let you express in Tigrinya to our Tagara around the world, to the Eritreans, to everyone who speaks Tigrinya around the world.
Yeah, before I went to Tigrinya, I want to say first, I'm really proud to have produced a lot of young Tagaru living in diaspora, very, very young. They didn't even live in Tigray, but they really know the history of Tigray. And they have the right judgment about what is happening in Tigray now. I can name a few of them. And the Chernat Harifo, Nashan Nafit, Smart, these young guys really are telling the world what is right, what is happening in Tigray. After saying that, after Tigrinya Ahmed less, زغلنا وقعد لنا أخبارات حوا. حزي أبز عربنا زي تجارب زحزنا وقعد لنا قدمي عمائت عمتات ولدنا زاروا قتيمهم زنغرة مكران حسر مكران بتعني زي تمليس بترزلو نحنا تجارو سنفاس بزر نحنا تجارو ما أصل زنغرة نحنا تجارو نجيب أصل زي جبرنا يقول زخول زبادة سحزلو حزو زبادة سحلو أب حزو زبادة سحزنا برا كحدام زخونا هاجر كحدام زخونا محبرة سلوزين كحدام طرح يكونه بتعم الدحور زخونا محبرة سبيل أو إثيوبيا زبالنا يمننا تكلوا زلا محبرة سبيل روميا تزارع ولو حرنيا تزارع ولو ويت ولو قالوا كله كحدام زبلن زلو دحور زبلن زلو من تاي نحق نحر زي تاطاو زي لحد محبرة سبيل سو أونت نحر زقول له خوي نجستي نفتح نرتع نحر تاطاو زي كوينو تعم دحور محبرة سبيل زدحور محبرة سبيل زي نتجارو عدمال كعم ندحريت زقوسيهم حزبي لذي تقراوين نتقراو ندخو نغلي عزي نحنا بتمنا اياتنا قفعو صيو زلو قفعي نافت تكلنيا مسمر بمصانا يرئ الله رسع تقناينو عين رسع زحزنا وقع زلنا نوح غزي بزح غزي تزاريبو سمع عسي ان زنبر اجناي زقلوكم كلكم عم حراي صلو ابلكم نان اورموتاي صلو ابلكم إلى أكون كسب وكع أبيرترا تبهل تصنعت هاجر زنيه حيلي صلوا بلوكم ألا إخا من مخان مفلات من قداس ألا إخا خامنتاي في الفلل خامنتاي توجسوا زي قبرل صحيح ما أصلهم كارخة نو زي بزعانة حوحتهم بزح زقولوا لا بس مثلا حوحتكم تقولوا من أرسم كنت تقرأنا يبهل نير نسون كنت أقول نير تمكم مرحوم زخول تم عندهم زخول اندحر دا قنسلنا اندحرنا وقعنا تحفاش قليلي يغتعشو تخلي خازل الامر حزامي كل دلاب زغورنا انتي بحال نيرو مراحتنا حوحت بحاله دقوم فقود عدا أمريكان أوروبان غيرهم نعاخاتهم قتلوهم يوم دلهم بلهم يسبقهم يوم أزقن رينا عينهم نارئ نمن قتلهم نمن أتفيهم مصدقهم براها نعاهم يوم بلهم نسوم يوم نعرض جنبرهم يوم زلهم سلازي تقراوان بستقراوان النروس كنا قرز قبروا زلوا بشرحهم تنقل مخانة ترديهم أو تقراون نتكب اسم تقارو مدحن كا تقراون نتكات رحي سر خائي أكتا هاجر نسا تقراوي تخبيرو لزنبر الله زانتا تاريخ نحرزرنا خوينا سر عاتيقوت أطو زولو الأوان تحابيرو نيري ننرسنا فرخرخ بزولنا الله أوان قن حزقوا بزحات عرح قزي أوان أو كبا يأتونا اللونا عنا خوق عسل الدلين تبهالك اللو باندا ودباندا تعملوا أو كبا يأتونا لكم تقراوي أي تشغلوا ويلا من كتن ربنا أرقابر زجمروا وقالسي عيدهم زيلهم يزاروا الناس عمورا يونس جنرال سامورا يونس حزب تقراين حوحاتن حدا يغفل لي يخلني للزارب دنبره لتا إيدوات عمرو ودساوا خفلو حرم الله وطاوتو علل نمنتاي فريجو نمنتاي أسجعو نمنتاي نفس فتيو حافظ بتفلي حوحاتنتن تقراونتن حدا يكون نعمل بقبر الوا مالك إذا جبلنا زلا أمنتنا أو تقراونا بهرتنينتنا سلن لحلحي زحسبات أو زقرا أو لما قلنا أنا محرني أتفهم نقول أنا محرني أجرب أبزبط قوام الله حزان نعم محرني مزرعة بينكم تسأل أي في الفلول بحب السقوينو أنا خمي كبسمع عند زي فليتيو زلني أجا من حد زي بخردو عند حد يرديه يوم خرد اللي عايز عرفيز محرني أجرب الحزن نبزحت محرني أنا خالق محرني ناي نجاوز تجارب محانو تفينا يكون هسري خوي موقعنا خوي ناي بدعق عنق خوي منبر كخينا خوي ناي شواوان بوليتيكا مكايد خوي سلازي اتافتا إثيوبياونا تفهم حرنيا زحبونا من النتصقم زلو اكسبوز خنغورب نقالو عم تخوينا عب تقراونتنا نسرت تقراونتنا نطنكر حزنا تزاربنا خلنا مناسي تقرا يقاش حلو تنبركيكم يكون حر يرب يزبطوا والله ما أجر نقول نقع عالسنا حيلنا نقبسن تقراونا نصنع تقرا هاجريا نبل هاجر وحنقولنا تكتب هاجريا كان عالم تزفريتا هاجر كوريلا عالم كسر حلقه يخدم يس تقرا هاجر بعلكم ما حد دخل حبره تسوي تقراوي مال ايمانم لما نا يكون ايمانم حتى حشكارا يكون ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል ኣምረ ተሓሳሰባ ዘድልዮ ማሕበረሰብ ይኮን ርእሱ ኺል ፀጠው ክብል ዝኽእል ህዝቢ ከዓይ ቁርጠም ስለዚ ኣብዚ ሰሚርና ክንሰርሕ ኢና ናይዞም ባንዳታ ናይዞም ግዛዓት ከምዚ ጌርና ኢና ክንቃለሱ ንኽእል እምነት እዩ ዘለኒ ኣብዚ ቅፅል ተመላሊስና ክንወፅ ኣለና ደጊምኩ ደጋጊምኩ ግን ዝሕሰብሉ ስርሕ ፅልኢ ግን ኣይወልኩና ክፀሉ ግን የብሉ ፀላኢኻ ካበይ ከም ዝብል ዘሎ ግን ምፍላጥ ዘድላይ ኢትዮጵያ ትበሃል ትጥዕ مرز زخونة عمبوا إثيوبيا باتتع عمود تجارم أنا يفرس زمن العالم زمن ملك تجاري حيد الجمال وهل سلاسة تجاري حيد الجمال أياتنا قدام ويانا انبت ودخلوا البلاد هاي المارة بجدي بجزوات عدم حراز قموت وهاي سلاسة إثيوبيا تبهال تسنعت سنها قصلية حزنا إرترا سراوي لهم بس إحنا إثيوبيا قرشي ورقة تمويله نايبع له هزو خطف تجرّل إثيوبيا نتبهل هذا شايف فورك رات تقرأ أفدقون دي داني أنت قاعد تحساس واحد حدرك خلوقن تبقى نزبهل تحساس واحد حدرك خلوقن تاكم جيرول كام حسابي دي معلوم سوون فيكتيم نايمن نتكلم لازم لو سبسلو بر تقرأ واي بوبو بدي بوزعو تقرأ واي حما عقامه ونبو كيف الذي تقرأونه تعاوي هنا كبر شلمات تقرأ هاو نتأنكره هاجر دم حنقول كايس أوريدي سرطوي تجمري تطعو كيبل قاسنا خنقول صلي جدا من ما يقول لنا حملات سلتجتروا جرينز لازقنا مش أوروباتاي مش أمحارتاي سلتجاربنا أنا كهوننا يقول هاجر كوين كاوجو مسكالي تسمع عقدم بر كيف بتبال هاجر كوين مسنا أمريكا تسمع عقدم بريلا تنيلا جيبوتي 500,000 حزب حيزا بنايم كولونيال تسرحت قادات كون بس 500,000 حزب حيزا هاجر كوينا تطويلا ايكون تግራይ ዝበሃል ክቡር መንና ናይ ነዊሕ ዘመን ታሪክ ዘሎ ሃርቋት ጻዕራ ማሕበረሰብ ዘሎ አንፈት ዝመርሑ ጥራሕ ይደል ህብረተሰብ ህዝብ ስለዚህ ትግራውነትና ንጽናዕ ሃገር ትግራይ ህዝቡን ንትግራይ ንደክም ንትግራይ ንስዋ ንትግራይ ንደክም ካሊ ዋጋ ዘሎ ነገር ይፈል አይኒ ለምነው ይቅርታ ባህልቲ ዘጥፋ ጥፋ ዘይብልካሴን እዚአቶም ንخሩድ ልካ ምጽዓር አና ይርደል አማራይ ይፍተን አንተ ግደብል ተዘፈሰ ዘዛሮባ አማራይ ሁን ገለሁን ሳዝ እዚ ሀትከበል ሃያ ካዝ ገብረ ግፍዕኛ ንሱ እዚ ሓፈር አነ ዝሓፈረሉ ምክንያት ምን ይብል ዛፍር ነገር ይብል ናይ ቅርታ እዚ አክብል የደለ ክብር ሓወይ
ብጣዕሚ ደስ ዝብል እዩ ያው ትንግሊዝኛና ፎክስ ንገብሮ ዘለና ግን ትሰምዕ ሰብ ብዙሕ እዩ ንሄ ሂድ እንተኾነ ድሓን ብሰለስተ ቻይና ነመሓላለፎ ዘለና بيوتيوب ويانا እንደገና ብዙ በሳይበር ፓወር ትግራይ ላት ናይ ፌስቡካት ስለዚህ በጣም ክብረት ያበና አባገን ፋይናል እና ሳመራይዝ ገበራይለ ግን ታናተ ሕቶ በትግርኛ እስቲ አሁን ተለኹም በቃ ስለኹ ቢለ ሓንተ ሕቶ ቀርበልካ
አረ
ሓሳባት ወለ ዘለኻ በጣም ደስ ይብል እዩ ናትና ህዝቢ ሞራል ላዕልምበር ሞራል ድሕሪ ሒዝን ታሕቲ ከይብል አክፊኻ ዝተንተንካዮ የቕኒለይ በባህልና በቋንቋና ኸ ክንመሃርና ክንነፍዕ ከም ዘለና አሙዚ 100% በቃ ያምነል ይሄ ይድግፈት ወለ ዘለኻ አማን በአማን እዩ
ኦኬ
ጥያቄ ግን ታዩ ጸላቲ ንአና ንአይና አኻን ንኻለት አሕዋትና ውሽጢ ከም ዲያብሎስ ናብ ተመን አትዩ مسحت ነገር አሰርሐሉ ከም ክሰርሑ እንተለው ንምንታይ ኢና ንሕና ተጋሩ መብዛሕት ግዜ ዓርስ በዓርስና ንጫቃጫ ዓርስ በዓርስና ንበኣስ ካብኡ ግን ናይ ባዕልና ታሪክ ናይ ባዕልና ህዝቢ ንትሕት ስቕጥ እናበልና ናይ አምሓራ ባህሊ ናይ አምሓራ ቋንቋ ነኽብር ንሓን ባዕልና ከምቲ ሎ ዘለኻ ኣነ ባይ ዘ ወይ ካብቲ ኩሉ ዝብለካ civilized society አቤ I'm proud to who I am ግን بدم ناتي دم ግን በወረቀት ዋላ አሜሪካን ተሆንኩ ናተይ ደመይ ናተይ መንነተይ በትግራውነተይ ዝኮረ ትሪዮ ለኻ ዝዩ ሒዝ ሸግር መጽእ ኮነ ስሕዮ ካብ 20 ዓመት እንገለን ዝሓስክዎ ነገር እዩ ከምኡ ግን ሓደ ግዜ ዝገብሮ እዚ ኮፍያ ተጠቅመለ ይፈልጥ ንስኡል ተቀሚጡ ንሃገረይ ንታሪኸይ ዘይርስዐሉ መገዲ ስለ ትሪዮ ለኻ ክሽፉ ዝዩ ናይ ተጋደልቲ ቀደም بدرج جزية خوست له عدي زوجت يا تتكلم الله يفلت نسوي لا تقمت نيرا وجزا حيز جنز مسعي نتهزنا نتزي فلت ولا من سي دايسبرا زلو زي رأي زي فلت تاريخ المحيز سلا بزح زي مهارنا يو نخرج دون فولت مينينج زي يزقول ذا الله ولا كأي جن حتى سوي له ستيتمنت نحطه نحاوس كوامبر نحنا سي ببهرنا ناتشرالي خنكير كم زل ناسي يقبل يتحسب جن إسكافيزي نمن تاينا تشوينا تبهرنا نعرض قانقانا زخرعنا تجرينا خين الزارب نايوعنا عنقو نسوي نسقط نبنا أبكتر ما هات زلوا هزي بكا أمحرنيا بدن بنا زي كارس خند تبغى عنقو كوري أم زارو ناين دام ما تبغى عنقو زارو اللي ما قدي نمنت عيو psychological نوع على سي نمنت عينا نايبعنا أتحت نبلنا نايكالت زين تاينا عادقو كون وعلو تفضيها نحر مجبين حزيك الناس كلا تولع أنت تراطي أتبزح أمحار خان تأيم بليعم ندحر موتم زي حسكايم صقاوم قبل لا خاوس امكشن كام زمكرو سلازيو زي كي يدغب الناس تهزبنا بتلي تي يانجر جنريشن هيستوري بدن زي يفلط زي حازي غلطا زلو انت حسابات اورول يመስلك
انا بوتالو مسلك حدا خدو زي بانتا يلو احنا نايتم زحلفو وقاس አይኮን ናይቶም ዝሓለፉ ወለድና ሌጋሲ እውን ከም ዝጎደና ክንበስዓይብና ኣብ ሃገር ኢትዮጵያ ትበሃል ናይ ንጉሳውያን ንጉሰ ነገስት ገለ ዝበሃል ታሪክ ወሲልካ ተኾንካ ኢቨንት ሃይማኖታዊ ንግስና ትህብ ናይ አክሱም ጽዮን ተወሲልካ ኾንካ ትግራይ እዩ ነጋውስ ታሪክ እንተኸሎ 00 ኣብ ትግራይ ዝኸይ እዚ ቶም ንጉሰ ነገስታት ዝበሃሉ ኣብ ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል መዝመዝት ምንዋሮም ኣይንድረሰ መዝመዝት ክኾኑ ከሎ ማቻ ነይሩ and then compromise ገይሮም ድሓን ኢሎም ይነብሩ ከም ዝነበሩ ይንረስዕ now expanded to empire expand ናገበረና ብሉ ምስከደ እቲ ናሃትካ ብሂልን ኣመርን ንሶምና ተማሃሮ ተኸዶ ከሎ ግን ዘየቀጸልዎ ክትቀሙሉ ግን ከየለም እዮም እዚ ንግስነት ትግራይ ናይ ትግራይ ሌጋሲ ናብ ዛግዌ ድሓርካ ናብ ሸዋ መስኣተወ ንሓቀቀ ይኸይድ ካው እንታይ ኮይኑ ግን ንጣር ዝኾኑ ሰባት ኣብቲ ላዕለዋይ መዝነት ይልውሞ ንትመወቀሎም ዳርጋ ይርስዕዎ ነይሮም ኣብ ናይ ወለድና ትራይ ማለት ሶ እቲ ብሄረተኝነት ዳርጋ ልሕልሕ ነይሩ ብሄረተኛ እንተኮይንካስ ዋላ ሕዘብ ናይ ሕወሓት ታሪክ ወስልካ ትኮይንካ ኣልትራ ብሄረተኛ ዝኾነ ፀቢብ ትባል ታታይ ገበልካ ታይ ትብል ንንዶ ዓድብ ዝብልዎ ነይሩ ግን እንታይ ኮይኑ ኮስት ገይርዎ ብድሓር እናንተ እዩ ዓወት ኩሉ ሻዕ ብብሄረተኛታት ያ ምዝገብ ቃልሲ ህዝባውያን ሓርነት ትግራይ ታሪካውን ንሕር ወስልካ ኮንካ እቶም ወለው ዝበሃሉ ቆራጻስ ዝበሃሉ መስተንክራው ስራሕት ዝሰርሑ መወቆሎም ረኻም ትኮንካ ዝነበሮም ቅዋም ወስልካ ኮንካ ብሄረተኛ ዝነበሩ ድሓር ዓወት ምስ ሓዙ ግን ናምንታይ ይኸይድ ክንገገ ዘይግበን ፊዳላው ዝኾነ ተሓሳስባ ኣብ ተጋራሉ ሪቮሉሽነሪስት ኮይኑ ናይ ለውጡ ኮይና መስተንክር ስራሕ እንሰርሕሞ ደን ፊዳላ ተሓሳስባ ይመጽእ ካው ከለወደው እዩ ናብ ዛዕምዛዕ ዝበሃላ እንጥብጣብ ዘረባታት ማለት እንደን ባዕልና ሰደደ ነዚ ኩሉ መፍትሒ ግን እንታይ እዩ ሃገር ኣብትና ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል ኮንሰፕት እንትኣቱ ከለው በቃ ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል ሓንጎልካ ጌርካ ተሓስብ ከለካ ዝመልካ ሓሳብ ምስ ናይ ትግራዋይ ኮይንካ ተሓስብ ሓሳብ በቃ ምስ ናይ ትግራይ ብሄረተኛ ወዲያውን ይዝራጽ ሕዚ ኩለንተን ሽግራት ተፈጠራ ኣብ መንጎ ብሄረተኛ ትግራዋይ ኣብቲ ፓን ኢትዮጵያኒስት ዲ ረጽም ተፈጥዩ እዚ ከዓ ኮስት ገይሩና ናው እዚ ኣትሐቅቅ ግን መዓዝ መስለካ እታ ኢትዮጵያ ትበሃል ኮንሰፕት እንድሕር ምሒና ደብሪና ኮይና ብሱር ብዛዕባ ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል መሕሳብ ድሕር ጠጦ ቢልካ ኮይንካ ትግራዋይ ንትግራይ በፍጽም ይባስ ሽግር ዝፍጠረልና ኣብ ናይ ኢትዮጵያ ኮንሰፕት ኮይኑ ዝሓስብን ኣብ ትግራይ ብሄረተኝነት ኮይኑ ዝሓስብ ግን ኩሉ ሻዕ ክላሽ ይገቡ እስካ ሕዚ ቀርባ ኮይልና ሕዚ ቶም ንፎቶም ተጋደልቲ ዝበሃሉ እቶም ክንደይ ዝዓሩ እንስዩም ከምዚ በጽሖም ንኸላ ኩልና ተቆጢዕና ንምንታይ መንነትና ሱርና ስለተነኸይ ንሶም ግን እንታይ ነይሩ ቅዋው መልካን ተወሲድካ ሕዝቡን ኣብቲ ናይ ኢትዮጵያኒዝም ተሓሳስባ ባይ ዲፎልት ምስ ብሄረተኛ ትግራዋይ ኣብ ተኣማና ኣብ ተሓዛ ኣብ ትንተና ኣብ ምግጫው ነይሮም እዮም ማለት ስለዚ ናይ ጥፍዓትና ዋና መሰረት ኢትዮጵያዊነት ዝበሃል ጋዓጋዓ ተሓሳስባ እዩ ዝላ ራስ ተሓሳስባ ጥቅም የብሉ ሕማቅ ተሓሳስባ ትግራውነትካ ትግራዋይ ብቁዕ ይእኹል ንጅግንነትካ መሰረቱ ብስ ኣደኻ ክትነብዕ ክትብል ካን ትግራዋይ ኢኻ በዓል ስረኢኻ ትኽእል ኢኻ ከዓ ትግራዋይ ኮይንካ ትኽእል ኢኻ ተንበርኩ ክትኽእል ኢኻ ኩሉ ጋዓገል ጠመዝ ትምክሕተይ ኮይነን እዚ ሓቂ ታሪኻዊ ሓቂ እዚ ስለዚ ናይ ኩሉ መፍትሒናት ትግራውነት ብሄረተኝነት ሃገር ብውናነ መልስ ዘብስ ሃገር ካን ድሕርወኒንካ ትግራዋይ ምስ ዓጋመ ይምፃ እንደርታ ይምፃ ራያ ይምፃ ምዕራብ ትግራይ ይምፃ ኣይትበኣስን መሰረትካ ትግራውነት እያ ክብርኻ ይባሰካ ስለዚ ኣው ይዘሎ ትመልስ ለይድሓስ the concept of ኢትዮጵያነት መጽኸላ ግን ዓደል ሕለይኹን ተሓራስታይ ገዛ ኣመድን ግዛዕታ ሃይለ ኣው መንገድ ተፋላለ ስለዚ ካሊ ክርሳዕ ዘለና ኣብ መዋእልና ኣብ ታሪኽና ውሽጢ ናይ ኮሎኒያሊስት ዝነበረ ጽንተው ክርሳዕ ይግባል ኮሎኒያሊስት ገበሩ ቀል ነገር ይባል ኮሎኒያሊስት መጽሙን ዝወዑ ዓንድ ሕቁ ዝሰበርዎ ናይ ትግራይ ብሄረተኝነት እምበር ኢትዮጵያ ብሄረተኝነት ዝበሃል ኣይተዋል ኢትዮጵያ ብሄረተኝነት ኣያ ጻዕዳ ጥላን ኩዓበጽኻ ለይሉ ጋብ ኣውጽኡ አንጽፉ ከምሰቲ ተቀቢልዎ ንግራዚያን ተቀቢልዎ ኮይ አብርሃም ደወጭና ሞጎስ አስገዶም ዝበሃሉ ትግርኛ ተዘረረት ሒዛ ኤርትራ ትባል ስም ተዋሂዋዝኒው ደጋኑ ኣብ ማእከል አዲስ አበባ ቦምባ ዝደብሮ ያው ደስ ግራዚያኒ ትግራውነቶም ስለተ ንሞጎስ አስገዶምና አብርሃም ደወጭ ግን ሆይሉ ሒዙ ንነቁ ዝገበሮም ህዝቢ ሸዋይ ሓልከር ጥላን ስለዝነበረ ተገልብ ተሓርግን ሓርበኛ ይብለካ ናይ ቱርክ ዘበን ናይ ዘበነ ቱርክ ታሪክ ተምጽኻም ተሰሚ ሃፀይ ዮሐንስ ብትግራውነቱ ትግራይ ዝበሃል ከመገሪ ንካኢሉ መተማ ኸይዱ ተሰወ ተቃለሰ ስለዚህ መስተንክራው ስራሕቲ ተሰርሑ ብሙሉ እዚ ባሕሪ ተባሂሉ ናይ ኤርትራ ባሕሪ ብኽብሩ ጠጠው ዝበለ because of ጀጋኑ ተጋሪ ናይ ጉራዕ ናይ ጉንደት ናይ ክንደይ ኩናታት ዝገበሩ ተጋሪ ኣበይ ነይሮም ሓራበይ ነይሮ ኦሮሞታ ታሓንቲ ናይ ዓድዋ ኢንሲደንት ዘልዕልዋ ታሓሽኪሩ መውፂ ምኒልክ 5000 ሽልንግ ተኸፊሉ እዚ ሓቂ ንምንታይ እዩ መምህር ገብረ ኺዳን እዚሎም ታሪክ ዝዛረቡ ከለዉ መምህር ገብረ ኺዳን ምስ ኢትዮጵያ የባእሱና ኢሎም ዝስከፉ ተጋሩ ንምንታይ ተስከፉ ሓቂ እንዲ ዶኩመንት ተገበረ ስለዚ ኣብቲ ናይ ትግራይ ብሄረተኝነት እንድሕር ኮይኑ ትግራዋይ ኣይባእስን ንፍለጥ ከዓ ኣነ ሓስቦ ይንደው ታሪክ ገራውት ሓቂ ዶኩመንት ዝኾነኒ ከማይ ባንዳ ኢትዮጵያ ባንዳ አምሓራ ይብል ናይ ብጣልያንያ ተቀረጸ ቪዲዮታት እንደ ፈቀደ ዩቱብ ስምዑን ተገልቢጦም ሰው ግን ባንዳታት ነርኩም ይሉም ነተጋሩ ትግራይ ባንዳ ሆነ ሓሽኪ ተሓሽከረ ይብል ንመግዛእት ኖዝ ዝብል ማሕበረሰብ እንታለው ናይ ውሽጥ ናይ ደገ ትግራው ዛት ስዋይጻው ይስዕር ድማ ሕዙን ክስዕር ሲዕርና እንተ ነብቅዕ ግን ንዛፋዓፋ ሃገር ኢትዮጵያ ስናዕ በስናዕ ሃገር ኢትዮጵያ ጠጠው ክነብለለና ክብርና ይኩን ሓዊ ተዋ ነባዓልታቶም ይኹን እንሳት ግራተለና ይውሉ ቆጻሊ መሬትና ይውሉ ቡና ለና ይውሉ ቡናኹም ግዛዕኹም ዓኸትኩም ናይ ባዓልትና ንሕና ንባዓልትና ክንከውን ንኽእል አንተ ረሳሕ መሽረፈት ትበሃል ተቦንቂርካ ትወፅእ ንብለ ይዝግባ ኣውዚ ክነማት ይእል ዕድል ተረኸቡ ድማ ትማሊ ኣብ ትግራይ መፂ ነይሩ እኮ አቢ አሕመድ ግንባሩ ዘይመሉ ዝኩሉ መንእሰይ ተወዲኡ ዝኔ because of this stupid guy ኣሜሪካ ዳት ኩርኔራ ትቆሪ ስለዚ ብጣዕሚ ክስታይኑ ንዘጥፈካ ምሕረት ክህልወም ህጥፈካ ንዝደ ሕዚ ብለሎ እኮ ጎስጓስ ይገብረሎ ተጋሩ ዘሎ ታዕገር ሰብ ኣይኩን ዓኸት ብለለካ ትግረ ስጋ ሰብ ኣይኮንካ ብጻዕ ኣኻትሎ በዳላይ ኮንካ እዚ ጭድር ጋዕገልጠም ኣድገበቅሊ ዕድል ክንወ ይግባል ኣድገበቅሊ ኹማይትሮ ብሑን ክንወ ይግባል ብርሃኑ ጅሉ ወላ አቢ አሕመድ ወሉ ግዝዕ ወሉ ጋኡ ኩሉ ክብርና ትግራውነትና ወለድና ደማም ዝገበሩሉ ንትግራውነት ከዓድ ንርስዕ ይብልና ኣብ ኢትዮጵያ ዝበሃል ተረሚስና ሓቂቅና ይንትረ حزبون تقراونا مسارات تقراونا خلي نقدر كبري يا تقراونا كبري نعدالي تعدل تنيا عدلنا زخونه طرح تقراوي سنت واهلنا إرترا كو سملني لي زاربلو حشكر طلع حشكر عرب نتقراوي كومي خوارا زي لا يخيل تم حاز بهالون كومي نايمن نتقلوا زلو تقراوي كونا يخي ازيك ولد حزدكم راح طف قبل زمصور هاي سرق حسو اي قتل ما خرتني هم زي غيركا امقدس خير يلوم سرعت زمبريه هذا عالم اسايلم يغزعلات ورا زيلو اخصم نغوس اخصم زمصات حساسواني صدعتنيا مسلم يو صدعتنيا خالد سدتنيا تاكوي زو عند خالد ستا توصعو له زنبر مال حزنا يمنت كل هذا العب يحمد بزي مسك زعمه بزبل نحنا خنقلن نو ስለዚህ ንሶም ይፈሩ ዘሕፍሬውኩም ተጋሩ ስራህ ዓባዓላ ኻይድ ጅግንነት ባዓላ ኻይድ ማንም ይዕጣ ጋዕገልጠም ኤርትራ ይምሳ ገዛዕም ታይም ዘመና አሰል ጎም ምሸት ዝቋሽ ዘሎ ትግራውነት አዲኦም ክትንቃ خላ ስለዚህ ተሰማዓም ቆሚላና ንሕረዝ ዘለና ወዲ ደለ እኔ ነው ወይ ሰዓት ይዘካቲ ናፍት ደለኻ እኮ አዚያት ኸልካሁ ደግ
ጽቦዮ ሙቁር ዘረባዩ ኣብዚያም ናይ ጄኮብ ክሽነር ዝብል ንሄ ጋዜጣሽሞ ትዊተር ውፅዋ ዘለሲ ናይ አቢ አሕመድ ናይ ኣምባገነን security ደቂ ኣንስትዮ እናተጋሰሱ ክንደይ ሰብ ገዛውቲ ተቃፂሎም ደቂ ኣንስትዮ ተራኺሶም ኢሉ ብናይ ኣምነስቲ ኢንተርናሽናል ከም ተመዝገበ እዩታ ትዊተር ገይርዋ እየ ዘልዕልክዋ እና ያው ትዘልካዮ صبويو توم زيروحو مدحر حرتي زنيونا نوم ناقالهنا يا أخلنا بكا
دجوا بك حوي
يا أخلنا زيوم سي دحر حيزن احنا هزنا عالم زنها ياو رينا ينا موريرنا أيو دحر حيزي نكامس زيوم زيروحو دوغ ليابتي بعربنا حرامي إزبار زيوم نهيوتهم نهاجرهم حريمهم خيدهم زلوا هزبي إثيوبيا نالنا إثيوبيا أو 30 زي تقرص نحنا دحر عايزي بزيبلنا مجمرتا تግራይ دونايا تግራይ مريتنا ايو نحنا تقارو مننتنا بياتاتنا بحواتنا زصنع تاريخ مريت تግራይ مصيوم مكرو متريس حزام بريان حزام تانك حزام زحازو حزام مصيوم ግን እንታይም ዝኾነ ዘለው ንሪኦ ኣለና እንደ ታይ ዝባል ክንደ እንፅን ማዕጾ ገለ ዝባል ምሳሌ ለባኖ ካብ ደንበ ይሓስክዎን ግን እንታይ ማለት እዩ ታረኛ ሰብ እንታይ ገይርዎ ዝጠነሳ ደቂ ኣንስትዮ ክብረተን ዘውርድዎን ታሕቲ ዝኩሉ ህዝብና ዝሓርድዎ ዝቀትልዎ ዘለው ንዚ ትግራይ ኮ ሓሪዶም ዘይወልዕዎ ጥራይ ኮይኖም ዘለው እምበር ንዘርኢ ናትናስ ንህዝብና خطفوا وخونه لهم زمصو قفعታት ካውዚን ለዓላ እንታይ ናደና ብሱ እንታይ ማስረጃ ስለዚህ ተጋሩ ኮይና እንታይ ያኽትከውን ትግራይ ድሕሪ ሒዚ ኢልኩም ተሓቱ ናይ ባዕልኩም መድሕርሕርቲ ስለ ዝኾንኩም እዩ ዓርስኹም እዚ ግን ከሕፍረኩም ከዋርደኩም እምበር ጥያቄና ጥያቄ ብስሩስ መፅስ ዘሎ እዩ እንታይልና ኣነ መቸም ያው እነውና ኮየም ኣነ ዘሕዝነኒ ግን ናይ ንሳሞራ እዩ ዝኩሉ ዓመት ተቃሊሶም ዝኩሉ ዓመት መከራሪኦም ኣብዛ መጨረሻ ህይወቶም ንዓለም 30 ዓመት ዘይተረፈቶም ግን ንሃገር ትግራይን ንህዝቢ ትግራይን ክሒዶም ንኸውዶም ንግዚኡ ጠቕሞም ኢሎም ንሃገርና ንትግራይና ክንዕወ ድሕሪ ዝብልዎ ዘለው ዝሕዝን ዝገርም እዩ ግን ዘረባ ኣነም ከየንውሖ ሕፅ ረቢለይ ኣየኹም ናትና ኣየኹም ኣብ ኢትዮጵያ ዝኒኹም ተጋሩ መከራ ኣምፅኡ ኢልኩም ዝኒሄ እዚ መሽረፈት ኣሕመድ ውኒ ዘይፈልጥ ስነ ስርዓት ዘይፈልጥ ትዕግስ ዘይብሉ ብስድነት ዝዓበየ ንባዕሉ ሪስፔክት ዘይብሉ ዝኾነ ሰብ ፖለቲካ ምችር ዝኸውን ንኣብነት ሰብ ኣብ ዓለም ብፖለቲካ ተማያይጥካ ሽግርካ ትፈትሕ ኢኻ እዚ እዩ ከዓ ንመችር ዝኾነ ኤኒታይም ኤኒ በቃ ኣነ ምስ ሓወይ ንድሕር ኣብዚኣ ንሱ ኣነ በቃ እግሪ ዘይገብራ እንተልያ ዘይንራድአላ መገድ ተልያ በቃ ብሽማግለም ንምንታይ ዝግበር ናይ ካሊእ ሰብ ምክሪ ክትሰምዕ ሽግርካ ግን ተፃሪፍካ ገሌልካ ብበትሪ ኣይኮነን ዝፍታሕ እንታይ ዳ ብምክሪ ብጠባይ እንተገበረ ነይሩ ግን ኣይኮነን ህዝብና ከምዚ ገይሩ ተሓሪዱ ቤተክርስትያናታት ዘሎ መስጊዳት ዘሎ ተወቂዑ ተደብዲቡ ጥራይ ዘይኮነማ ታሪክ ናይ ትግራይ ከም ዝጠፍእ ገይሮም ሰሪቆሞ እዮም ስለዚሁ እቲ ህዝብና ተሳቂዩ ዘሎ እቲ ህዝብና ዝሳቀ ዘሎ እቲ ህዝብና ዝመውት ዘሎ ክንትኮ ይንኽእልን ኢና እዚ በቃ ማንም ነፍሲ ወከፍ ትግራዋይ ክርድኦ ዘሎ ኣይ በቃ ሓደ ሰብ ሂወት እንድሕር ጠፊኡ ንሱ ነቲ ሰብ ኣይትምልሶን ኢኻ ንብረት ካሊእ ዝኾነ ነገር ግን ነጥርዮ ኢና ክንምልሶ ኢና ንሱ ኣይኮነ ክንሓስብ ዘለና ሕዚ ግን ንህዝብና ከመይ ጌርና ኢና ብናይ ኢንተርናሽናል ኮሚኒቲ ዝኒሄ ደፊእና መእተዊ ክፍጠር ኣለኹም ዘሎ እዚ ኩናት ከዓ ነየእ ትውግእ እኔው እዮም ጀጋኑ ኮ ውግእማ ባዕሎም እኔው እዮም ተምሓትና ጀጋኑ እቲ ተሃራ ሰብ ግን ኣብቲ ውግእ ዘይኣተወ ግን ተለኪሙ ክመውት ኣብ ትግራይ ተጨቁኑ ዘሎ ህዝቢ ብሕጋዊ ደፊእና ንሻዕብያን ካብ ትግራይ ክወፅእ ናይ ኣምሓራ ብንታይ ዓቕሞም እኳ ረይሶም እውን መፅኦም ካብ ትግራይ ዋላ ጉሒፎም ክወስዱና ሃገርና ጨኒኡ ዝኒሄ ብናቶም ረይሳ ስለዚ ንሕና ይኣኽለና ድሕሪ ሕዚ እንታይ ዝኣክል መንእሰይ ትግራይ ተሰዊኡ ብኾንቶ ኣይኮነን ንሃገርና ንሃገሩ ኢሉ እዩ እዘን ኩለን ኣደታት 2-3 እስካብ 5 መናእሰይ ዝወፈያ ካብ ከብደን ትግራይ ንክትክበር እያ ስለዚ ትግራይ ኢልኩም ተኣምኑ ሓውና ዝበሎ ሰሚዕኩም ኢኹም መድሕርሕርቲ እንተልይኹም ግን ናይ ባዕልኩም ፀገም ስለ ዝኾነ ውፁልና ካብቲ መገድና በቃ ተጋሩ ኮይንኩም መድሕርሕርቲ ትኾኑ ይብልኩም ኢኹም ንሕና ድሕሪ ሕዚ ዘጥይቕ ነገር የብልናን ህዝብና ተናዓይቆዩ ህዝብና ሓዊ ወሊዖምሉ እዮም እናረአዩ ምንም ዝገበሮም ዘይብሎም ስለዚ ንሕና ብስነ ስርዓት ፍትሕ እኳን ፅቡቅ ጌርካ እንተተፋቲሕካ በቦታኻ ክትሕዝ ትኽእል ኢኻ ሒዝካ እንታይ ኢና ንሕና እንደሊ ድሕሪ እዚ ናይ ኤርትራ ወታደር ንኤርትራ ህዝቢ ዝውክል ኣይኮነን ይውፀልና ናይ ኣምሓራ መልሻ ናይ ሶማልያ ገለታት ተንተሪፎም ዘለው ዘይረብሑ ዕንጓሮም ምፅራግ ዘይኽእሉ ወፂኦም ይኸይዱልና ካብ ሃገርናን ህዝብና ንባዕልና እዩ ብጥሜትና ብድኽነትና ብፅፍርና ንሕና ሸቂልና ኣብ ዳያስፖራ ዝነና ረዲእና በቃ ተዘጋጂና ኢና በቃ ሃገርና ክነልምዓ ኢና ህዝብና ክንሕግዝ ኢና ጨቋን ወራር ግን ካብ ሃገርና ወይ ይውፀልና ወይ ድማ ናይ ዓለም መንግስቲ የፍልጠና በቃ ተጋሩ ትውድእኹም ባዕሉ ክወስን ወይሉ ናይ ዓለም መንግስቲ ምሓድ የፍልጠና ሕዚ ግን ክንደፍእ ዘለና ግን ድሕሪት ከይንብል በቃ ደብዳቤ ትፅሕፉ ነትወርክ ትገብሩ ወስኮስ እንተልዮም ኳነ እየ ንዑ ዓርቢ ኣኼባ ነካይደልና ኢና ነትወርክ ሰሪሕና ኢና ሪች ኣውት ግበርኒ ናይ መሰንጀርም ግሩፕ እንዳይኹምኩም ክሪኤት ዝገበርኩ ናብኡ ትፈልጥዎም ተኣምንዎም ተጋሩ እንተልዮም ዘየድሕርሕሩ ኣቕረብዎም ኢንጂነራት ዶክተራት ሎየራት ነርስታት ብኩሉ ማያ ዘለዎ ኣካውንተንት ዝኾኑ እነይውና እዮም ተዘጋጅዮም ትግራይ ክትክፈተላ ኣቲና በብሞያና ክንሰርሕ ኢና እናበልኩም ትሓስብዎ ተካይድዎ ዘለኹም ጀጋኑ የቕኒየልና እዚ ክወግሐልና ይፅባሕ ሎሚ ፀልማት መሲልና ዘሎ ፈሪሕና ሓዚና በኺና ንምልሶ መገዲ የለን እዩ እንተበኸና ደካማት ስለ ዝኾና ኣይኮነን ዓቕሚ ጀጋኑ ኢና ዓቕሚ ኣለና እዩ ግን ከ ክንበክተልና ግን ስለዝሓዘና እዩና ሓዘና እናቐነስና ስራሕና ግን መስመርና ከይንወፅእ ሓቢርና ተጋሩ ካብ እስራኤላውያን ኣይንውሕድን ኢና ካብ እስራኤላውያን ግን ብሓደ ሕብረታዊ ኮይንና ሰሪሕና ካብኦም ዝበለፀ ንዓለም ታሪክ ክንሰርሐላ ኢና ኤርትራውያን ይብሉ እዮም ንሕና እኮ ተጋርሱ ከምዚ ገርኩም ኣብ ትግራይ ዲሞክራሲስ እንታይ ኢኹም መብራህቲ እዚ ኢንተርነት ሲ እናተው ዘለኹም ናትና ህዝቢ እኮ 30 ዓመት ተቃሊሱ 30 ዓመት ተጨቁኑ እቲ መብራህቲ ይንፈልጥ ኢንተርነት ይንፈልጥ ንስኻትኩም እንታይ ኢኹም ተንፀፅሉ ዝመዓለ ዝብልዎ ይመፁ ዘሎ ኣብያሲ ኣብ ትግራይ መፁ ተደኒቁ እዩ ዘሎ ንባዕሉ ብሓደ ወገን ከዓ ይገርሞ እዩ ዘሎ እቶም ተጋደልቲ ግን ተሰውኡ ክንርስዖም የብልና ዝዋግእ ዘለዎም ሜዳ ክንርስዖም የብልና እዚኦም ጀጋኑ ብዘይረውሑ ባንዳታት ከዓ ነይአ ንሃቶም ታሪኾም ንሃቶም ስራሕ ዝሰርሕዎ ንሕና ክነናእሶ የብልናን ኢና ትግራይ ትዕወት ትግራይ ሃገር ንክትከውን ቃልሳ ተኻይድ ዘሎ ንሕና ነነብሲ ወከፍና ነናይ ባዕልና ሓሳብ ኢና ነቕርብ ዘለና ሕብረታዊ ጌርና ግን እዞም ባንዳታት ትግራይ ክትግንፀል እያ ተዋጊኣ እናበሉ ዝሕስብዎ ዘለው ትክክለኛ ኣይኮነን ንሕና ተዋጋእና እዮምን ሕዚ ግን ባዕሎም ስለዝፈንፎንና ስለዝገፍዑና ይውፅልና ካብ ርእስና ይውፅልና ካብ መሬትና ሒዝና ንሕና ብሰላም ክንነብር እዩ ድሌትና የቀኒየለይ ድሓን ሕደር ኣሕዋት ያው ኣብዚ ዊክን ፕሮግራም ሒዝና ክንመለስ ኢና ሓቢርና ክነውግዕ ኣለና በጣም በቃ የቀኒየለይ የምስግን ዝሓወይ ታንኪዩ
ታንኪዩ ኸሳ
good night